How's that? You see what I do here, right? With my glasses every day. By the way, happy Holy Week to you. I don't think you guys get the significance when I put the glasses on. Why do I put the glasses on? Because most of you can't handle Superman. So I've got to give you big chills. That's why. You see, Superman puts on the Clark Kent glasses. So some of you can deal with big sills here. That's how you do it. By the way, Monster Show, Dick Vermeil will join us at 3:30. Mike Quick at 5:30. How you doing? As always, we get the biggest names in Philly and around the country. Super Bowl and Hall of Fame coach Dick Vermeil. 3:30. Mike Quick. Mike was awesome today on the phone. I so love the guy. Okay? Sills. I don't really care about the new additions right now. I'm like, I get it, Mike. I get it, right? Take off the glasses, Clark Kent. Sorry, Chris. It's the only way you can deal with big sills if I come at you like I'm Clark Kent. Because I can't come at you as big sills. Most of you get a little bit, upset and your panties in a bind. Start wearing a cape. Nah, I don't want to scare too many people. Eagles 24-25 Super Bowl. Come on now. Hi, right? Where's Lois Lane? I don't know. Big Sills, I fly alone. How you doing? By the way, the Eagles got some poor news today. Howie Roseman loses one of his longtime assistants in the front office, Jake Rosenberg. Guy's a salary cap guru. This is a guy who was involved in all negotiatings when it came to constructing contracts. I'm not saying that Howie wasn't the guy that he learned from, but obviously this guy wants an opportunity to become a general manager somewhere else. Kudos to him. He really doesn't even have a gig. He wants to leave and pursue an opportunity to become a guy who wants to run his own ship and be his own general manager. And the way Howie and the way Jeffrey Lurie were talking, make no mistake about it, this guy is an absolute loss to the front office. So kudos to him, man. Hey, by the way, this guy's setting sail. That's how you're all in. That's how you're all in, man. Why leave now, though? All jobs filled out of the league for a year? Interesting. So are you saying that behind the scenes, maybe he was pushed out? Or maybe he wanted out because he knows Howie's on the hot seat? Why wouldn't you stay then? Would they clean out the front office? Or, quite frankly, can I tell you why? And Xander says interesting. Why do you think Jake Rosenberg left? Why did Jake Rosenberg, one of the most trusted guys in the front office, why would he leave? Howie's not on the hot seat. Okay, I agree. Why would he wants to be a GM? Okay. Yes. Or maybe it's the son, Julian, that's being prepped to be the new general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles once Howie steps down. And he knows he has no chance at being the general manager of the Eagles because Julian's going to be the general manager, just like Stephen Jones is really in waiting to become the general manager / head operator of the Cowboys once Jerry steps down. He knows there's no chance for him to be the GM. The next GM of the Philadelphia Eagles will be Julian Lurie. That's who the next GM is. And that's why he's stepping down. You can hear, and when you read all the comments that Howie's making about what a valued person he was, Julian Lurie is going to be the next general manager. He's being groomed for the job. Am I wrong? Toy Xander just said, interesting. Xander's right. Why do it now? Because he knew right then and there. He probably asked Howie, is there a shot I could ever become general manager here? Doubtful. Because the next general manager after me will be my son. That's what they're grooming him for. What do you think they're grooming him for? He's already going to be / part of the ownership. The father's going to remain the owner. Okay? Julian Lurie got into Harvard because of his name, got a degree in psychology. He ain't becoming the GM. He's becoming the owner. No, he's not. He's already going to get the team when his dad passes. When Howie Roseman leaves, or the owner feels fit to remove him, his son's going to become the GM of that football team. That's what the Joneses did. Okay? Dad's the owner, man. He doesn't need to become owner. That team's going to go to him anyway. Who do you think he listens more to? His son or Howie? By the way, I listened to the interview with the Yorksman. And we're gonna get into the Yorksman's comments there in Orlando. We're gonna be doing that here quick. Sills, no worries. Howie knows that Harvard, Yale, and Wharton will spit out another football guy this summer. Julian Lurie is going to be the new general manager. Not this year, next year, year after. But when this thing doesn't continue to work, or the owner gets tired of Howie, or they don't win another Super Bowl anytime soon, there's your replacement. I say within the next 5 years, Julian Lurie is the next general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay? I'm with you, Flexen. We're going to get to that here in a minute. That was bizarre. That press conference that the owner had was bizarre. And I wrote some cliff notes down here. I went back and had to listen to it twice, actually. Okay? I mean, you would swear that this guy is involved in every single decision that the Philadelphia Eagles make. And just like Angelo Cataldi said the other day, I mean, it was bizarre. Okay? I mean, it was completely bizarre. And everything when asked, when it came to what happened. So let's dive into this. Big Sills' takeaway from the Yorksman, Jeffrey Lurie, on the Eagles' Chernobyl meltdown at the end of last year. How you doing there, Ken? Appreciate it. So I wrote these notes down, and then I added in my takeaway from it. Nick, get this. So one of the things that the owner said was that Sirianni had a better meeting with him than Doug. And that was one of the determining factors that he leaned on to keep his gig, and how Sirianni kept his gig. So Nick was a better liar than Doug? Doug was being truthful about the direction of the team, and he got fired for being honest? And Nick got the ability to keep his job because he was less honest? I'd rather have you call me and swear at me and tell me what a BS job the whole season was at the end than tell me things I want to hear. I mean, thank God. And get this. Really, the overall takeaway from what I got from it is that Nick Sirianni, if he didn't bend and agree to those new coordinators, he would have been fired too. Whereas Doug wasn't happy with the direction that they were taking his coaching staff. Now, this is my takeaway. These are my takeaways. Doug was like, no. And so was he more combative? Don't you want a head football coach that has a backbone? Don't you want a head football coach that's going to question direction of your team, your coaching staff, your roster? Don't you want a guy like that? Don't you want a guy who's going to ask those important questions? Where are we going? Why does this guy make this call on this here? Why is he doing that? I don't get it. I want a coach who's got backbone. That's one of the things I took. So Doug didn't have a very good exit interview. And that's why he's no longer the head coach of the Eagles. And Nick lied better. I don't get that. So the owner likes to hear, like Angelo said, the owner doesn't like confrontation. He doesn't want you saying anything negative about the direction of how they're taking their team. Remember what I told you, the most important thing to the owner. It's not winning a Super Bowl. It's being competitive for one and control. That's why they love Nick. That was one of my takeaways. And by the way, some would probably say, why are you bringing Doug up? Well, your owner did. Your owner brought him up yesterday. Okay? Sills, men who ask hard questions, stand up, are usually leaders. Jeffrey wants followers. Amen. That's exactly how, Bob, that's my exact takeaway. Bob with the wrench. That's my takeaway too. It made me not respect Sirianni more because he didn't even ask, why did you guys make the decision on Desai and Patricia, who in their right mind wouldn't have asked that? Hey, why'd you guys make that decision to do that? It completely unraveled our football team. Why didn't he ask that? Because he doesn't have a backbone. By the way, Maniac, I don't hand out the wrenches here. Everyone's like, how come Sills? I wouldn't even know where that is. That's something you got to work on with Xander, man. Xander is the one that gives, he's the one that gives that out here. Nick wants some. Dude, I'm just telling you, Lurie wants his coaches to hold his nuts. Corey, I agree. Now, here's another one I take away here. Why did the Yachtsman keep Nick? The Yachtsman. He said there was pluses and minuses that he weighed through. What were the pluses? What are the pluses? Everyone got their numbers? What were the pluses of last year? Did Jalen get better? No. Get this. The biggest investment that he made last year got worse. And everyone else around that investment got better. Do you think that's a good investment? Would you put money into that stock? If everything around that stock got better except the stock itself, would you invest in that? AJ had a good year. Devontae had a good year. DeAndre had a good year. I mean, Hurts didn't. Okay, tell me. What were the pluses? The nuclear meltdown at the end? He weighed through the pluses and minuses. I was like, what is he talking about? Pluses and minuses. This guy's baffling, the Yorkshireman. You guys have had some pretty interesting owners. The guy in France and the Yorkshireman. He says he talked to over 1,000 people. That's not leadership. I don't need to talk to 1,000 people. I need to talk to Nick, Howie, and me. And I'll make the decision on what I'm going to do. I'm not talking to the janitor. I'm not talking to Big Dom. I'm not talking to any of those guys. I don't give a shit what they think. I'm the leader of the team. This is my football team. And I'm not going to ask 100 guys their opinions. I don't care. Buck stops here with me. I'm the leader. I don't want 78 different voices in my ear. I think that's part of the problem that you have. You have no clarity in that building. Talking to 1,000 people? Who gives a shit about that? Why in the world would you care what coaches and players think? I don't care what coaches and players think. It's the least people I'm going to talk to are the players. Because the players don't have good judgment when it comes to that. Okay? You don't define your roles in that building. You're the player, I'm the owner. You're the GM, you're the coach. Everybody wants to do everybody else's role and everyone else's job for them. Do your job. Just like Belichick said, do your job. 1,000 people he talked to? Okay? I mean, right. What are you doing? Talking to the guys at Geno's too? What do you guys think? He says he even talks to fans. Who gives a shit about the fans? What would they possibly know? What would they know? You know what? I'll take that back. Actually, they do know. Run the ball. They knew it from day one. Fans probably know more than half the people in that building because you know why? I think people in that building are afraid to give their opinion. That's my takeaway. When Lurie talks to people and then tells people that Doug didn't have a good interview, no one's going to tell the truth in that building. Nick is still here because Lurie said, we're hiring Kellen and Vic. Nick said, okay, that works for me. Where Doug said, F no to their coaches. Completely true. You can hear it in the interview. That's exactly true. Yes. Even the Inquirer had that takeaway. Thank God that Sirianni said yes to those new coaches, or guess what? There would have been a new head coach in that building. That just shows you how close he was to being fired. Dude, it's a bizarre leadership roles that people have in that building. It's really bizarre. That owner is a mingling owner. Not so much like, see, the difference between Jerry and Jeffrey Lurie, Jeffrey Lurie's not as public as Jimmy, or Jerry, I should say, with the two radios. I'm surprised he doesn't have a radio show. This guy is more involved in decision makings that he shouldn't be, maybe more than any other owner outside the guy in Dallas. Talk to 1,000 people for what? What could they possibly have told you about the decision that you made to put Sean Desai on the sidelines and put Matt Patricia in the room? What was the clarity move on that? He was asked, is Nick's job in jeopardy? By the way, Bob reminds us all super chats go to the top. Sills, recycling Nick would prove that Howie and Jeffrey misplayed their hand when hiring rookie coordinators last season. They couldn't even admit to that, Bob. They couldn't even admit to that. You're dead on. The plus in keeping Nick allows the NovaCare plan to stay intact. Great take. Absolutely great take. Awesome take. When you hear people on my network and you hear people on the radio in Philadelphia lying to you that that's a good run front office, it's not true. They have talented people in that front office that overcome ego. I know that may be hard to digest, but it's true. They know how to cut deals, but they don't know how to say no to the owner. Does that make sense? They don't know how to say no to him. I think Nick knows the politics in that office. I think he made the decisions himself, but I think he did because he knew if he didn't, he was gone. Dirty D, I'm going to expand on yours in a second. Joseph, Sills, Doug wanted to hire Press Taylor. Yes, he did. As OC in Philly. You kidding me? The conversation is irrelevant. Would you want Press as your OC? No, but I want my coach, if he's going to die on the vine, Joseph, I want my coach to die on the vine with people he hired, not people that were picked for me to fail. Joseph's right. Hey, Joseph, that's not saying Doug would have picked the right offensive coordinator, but I want my head coach to have that autonomy. Does that make sense? If I'm going to die, let me die at my own hands, not at someone else's hands. If I'm going to make it and be successful, let me be successful at my own hands. That's the thing with control that the Eagles hate. They don't want their coaches to, they want complete control of, they want more control of their coach than they do their quarterback. Okay? Sills, the only guy that can, with this front office, as a new head coach, is Frank Reich. Frank told Nick how to maneuver through it. He said, I'm going to tell you the things Doug did wrong. And that's why Nick is still here. That's a fact. You know I'm close with Frank Reich. If you want to be the head coach of the Eagles, you've got to play the front office game. I wonder if Lurie watches your show. Half that building at the NovaCare, whether two people or one person watch the show, those people will be from the NovaCare Center. I know this for a fact. Mike Quick told me today. That offense in Jacksonville looks horrible under Press Taylor. Would be the same. You're missing my point, Joseph. Joseph, you're missing my point. Okay, true. But a head coach should have the right to hire his assistants, not people above him hiring coaches he doesn't know or trust. Do you understand? When a front office hires assistant coaches like your Eagle team does, the head coach has no say. He has no say because those assistant coaches were hired by the owner and GM, not the head coach, no matter what they tell you. Okay? Doug wanted Press is no different than Chip Kelly having his own plan or bringing Jeff. Hey, how about this one, Bob? That's correct. How about this one? Do you think Chip Kelly had the right to hire Jeff Stoutland? Do you? That's right, too. Right there. That's another great take. Kevin, especially after winning a Super Bowl, he earned that right. Amen. Amen. Perfect. Yes. That's right. That's correct. Okay? I'll tell you this, Press Taylor's more qualified to be the offensive coordinator on a football team in the NFL than what Brian Johnson was. Okay? Right? And Doug did earn that right to hire who he wanted. Holy cow. This is crazy. That's why I'm telling you, that press conference with that owner was bizarre. Anthony says no matter how good or bad a coach is, they hire the staff, period. If Howie wants to hire coaches, be a coach instead of a GM. Anthony, yes. And by the way, Anthony and I don't agree on a lot. I completely agree with what he said. Correct. The coach has no loyalty to the head coach if they didn't hire him. Correct. That's why, hey, Prince, do you truly believe that Nick Sirianni had any loyalty to Sean Desai or to Matt Patricia when those moves were made and why he didn't fight for those guys? And that's why when he didn't fight for him, the players didn't play for him. Now we're starting to get, okay? Now we're starting to get somewhere on what happened. You understand what happened? Nick didn't fight for these coaches. He didn't fight for him. That's why there was a meltdown. When the players didn't play for him, Nick didn't fight for him. And the players saw it play out. Lurie didn't need to talk to 1,000 people. Should have just talked to me. Would have set them straight. Hey, the two guys sitting out front of the NovaCare Center with the sign that said, run the ball. He could have talked to those two guys. Right? Jeff and Howie didn't think Doug won the Super Bowl. They think they won it. No, what they've done is, Bob, they've reversed and tried to erase and tried to change history and thinking that their process won it. When in turn, their process lost Super Bowls. Think about what happened. And again, this bizarre press conference tells you all you need to know. They're always going to be hit or miss on coaches now because you know why? They don't value them. They don't value these coaches. That owner doesn't give a shit about Nick Sirianni. He just cares. He says yes. And he doesn't fight him or the organization's ways of doing things. Or he doesn't ask for control. Doug, when he won the Super Bowl, like some of you said, had the right to want more control of his team. He earned it. It's funny. They take the Hassan Reddick bonus away and move it to April 1. And funny, man, you earned some shit in that building. They could take it away from you. We're the Cowboys. Lurie's just like Jerry now. Not as bombastic, but similar mentality and ego. Yeah. Did you hear that? I took it off the Eagle Wet. I can't believe they posted that thing. That's not a glowing review of how the owner looks at stuff. You should watch it. Honestly, you'll come back here the next day and go, damn, man, really? That's how that guy sees his organization? I'm telling you, even get this. Am I right, Xander? Look at the headlines. Even in the Inquirer, guys were going, what? They were using the words bizarre too. There you go, Jason. It's really revealing. Doug Peterson was fired because the owner and the general manager feared that he'd get more credit than them. How about this? Did Doug Peterson deserve another chance to dig himself out of the four-win season after winning you a Super Bowl? Didn't he deserve a shot at teaching Wentz or Jalen? Why was it so imperative for you to sabotage that last game? Now I'm under the impression the owner and the GM sabotaged that last game to make it look as ugly as they could, to put public tar on Doug Peterson so that it was easier to fire him. I'm sorry I'm saying that, Because I wouldn't believe that unless I heard that interview. They sabotaged Doug in the end. Just listen to the guy talk. Boy, are they going to call my bosses on this. Holy cow. I think that guy and I think that general manager are connivers. They are connivers. They may be great capologists. They may do a nice job at things inside that organ. But when it comes to being backstabbers, they're the two best I've ever seen. Holy cow. That's prototypical NFL right there. That's not just a Philly thing. So many owners in the NFL act like that. I'll stab you in the back. They stabbed Doug in the back. They were preparing to stab Sirianni in the back. The owner's going to stab Howie in the back and put his kid in the general manager's role. That's why this guy resigned. Let me move on. Oh, wait, I got to answer this. Nick's job in jeopardy. Well, we had a great conversation. And at the end of 2023, I had to sit and think about it for a couple days. I'm paraphrasing this. And then I came to my decision. We should move forward with him. Now you have to ask yourself, there's no question, his ass is on the hot seat in 23. This thing was closer than you thought to being fired. Hey, I thought he was going to go into that meeting with a 50-50 chance to keep his job. I think they went into that meeting planning to fire him. Steve, right? Totally. If you're not a yes person in that organization, you can't work there. Do you know what you have to do? Do you want me to tell you what Frank said? You have to nod your head like this. And in a subtle way, do it your way. Yeah, okay. So you have to play along, kind of get along, and pray your way works in a subtle way. That is so much work to do when you can just go, I want to do it this way here. You got to go an extra step to make sure their feelings aren't hurt or that you're not challenging their authority. One of the absolute weirdest press conferences I've ever heard an owner put on. The biggest issue I had with the coaches last year was their lack of coaching knowledge. They were consistently being told what to do by the players. Prince, that's because they didn't have to talk to the head coach, because they knew the owner and the GM put those coaches in the building. That's why they didn't have, hey, I'll say it one more time. I really do believe the players really do love Nick, but they know he has no say, so they don't respect his coaching position because the Eagles don't. The press conference yesterday told you all you needed to know about how he looks at things and how he views stuff. Again, if you guys took different takeaways away, okay, then please. And by the way, I'm not really ripping. I'm more shocked on what I heard. Big Chris, you must kiss ass to stay employed by the Eagles. Man, how about just being good? Seals, could it be possible Eagles could hire Kelsey to have in a front row office? I guess they like him enough. Look at the difference. Doug won the Super Bowl and wasn't given a chance to fix it. Nick lost the Super Bowl and has been given a chance to fix it. Eagles prefer power over wins. Couldn't control a winner. Hey, Xander, this guy Anthony and I, we rarely see eye to eye. Can you please, that's a freaking, his best take since he's been on this program. That is the best take you've ever had. That is exactly the definition of the identity of the ownership and the front office of the Philadelphia Eagles right there, Anthony, and I'm proud you're a Paisan. That is exactly it in a nutshell. Kudos to you, dude. That is 1,000% it. Again, I'm not really ripping. I'm just reflecting. The players were carrying the team. Yep. You got. Hey, Prince, you may have said that. Players were carrying the team as far. Hey, Sills, and I got tied at the end. I always hated Howie. He has a Napoleon complex. They also got burned with Chip Kelly. Hey, Prince, you may have said this, that the players were carrying that team. And I'll say something else to you, Prince. They probably carried the water as far as they could. And then they couldn't carry it any further. So maybe you guys are right. They have a Super Bowl contending team. But the Eagle front office and owner will get in the way again. Holy cow. The Philadelphia Eagles don't get to the NFC Championship game. I may have to revise this. It's not because of the talent you have on the field. And that's why you guys may be looking at it differently to me. But we may be saying the same thing. Sills, we have a good team. But we don't have good front office people because they get in the way. That might just be it. That just might be. You know what? Isn't it funny? You guys have had really great. Wouldn't we say this? That the Eagles have had a really good roster for about 24 years. Some sporadic bad teams, but they've all underachieved. Except one. That team overachieved. Get this, your best teams didn't win the Super Bowl. The team that overachieved the most did, with the great coaches you had on it. Schwartz, former head coach. Frank Reich, head coach. Doug Peterson, head coach. All three head coaches. Overachieving head coaches. And you know what the dynamic was that you had on that staff? What was the dynamic that was so different? When I say overachieving, between Doug Peterson and Frank Reich, you know what it was? They were both backup quarterbacks who fought for everything. They were assistant coaches who were former players in the league who had to go the extra mile because most people don't like hiring former players as assistant coaches. I happen to like that dynamic, that you're a former player. Okay? I mean, man, he was just bizarre. Jalen Hurts and Nick. He was asked questions about those two. He goes like this. Well, I just want Nick to be himself and Jalen to be himself. I don't. I expect more. And I don't want Nick to be a cheerleader on the sideline screaming at fans and having to have Big Dom control him on the sidelines because he's too immature as a man. And I want Jalen to speak up more. I want Jalen to lead more. I want him to be a better leader. By the way, leading by example sometimes is not good enough in today's NFL. Players see how you act. Jalen Hurts is a great self-leader. And what do I mean by that? Hurts knows how to overcome adversity himself. Does his team? No. That team's a front-running team. When things are great, they're great. When things are shitty, they're awful. That's reflection of leadership from the head coach and the quarterback. Look, dude, not everybody's Mahomes. Get it. But leadership is developed because of strong leadership at the top. The Eagles don't have strong. Howie's not a leader. The owner's not. Listen to him. Make excuses and deflect. Listen to those two guys at the press conferences in Orlando at the owners' meetings. I thought it was the most bizarre thing I've ever heard for an organization that I thought was better. Get this, you are good. You guys are good. And get this, they're good in some things they do. But they can't stand not being involved in everything. I'm gonna, I always reflect when it comes to using Coach Johnson as a benchmark. And the greatest thing I watched him do? When Jerry Jones was wanting and courting Jimmy to be the head coach of the Cowboys. Now, look, there was no cap then. It was different. Some of you are dead on right. But let me tell you, man, Jerry Jones made no football decisions at all whatsoever with that Cowboy franchise. It was all him. And those players in that room all knew the buck stopped with him. Jerry had no say. And that organization was either they were 1-15. How many people would have wanted in Philadelphia Jimmy Johnson fired if he had a 1-15 season? You would have been screaming at him to be fired. And you know what? Lurie would have fired him. Instead, Jimmy's like, no, we're going to head in the right direction. We're going to do this my way. The only reason Jimmy Johnson is in the Hall of Fame is because his best friend in college and his best friend in his life believed in him. That owner doesn't believe in Sirianni or Doug Peterson or Andy Reid or any of them guys. He doesn't have the blind faith you need. You imagine 1-15. You imagine Jimmy Johnson 1-15 in Philly. Shit, Xander was saying this about Nick Sirianni 2-5. This guy ain't gonna make it through the season. Not in Philly. You would have fired him at the end of the year. Would have lost out on a Hall of Fame coach. He says, nah, I'm good. 2 years later, they won the Super Bowl. And they went back to back. And 3 and 4 years under his leadership. Because he had complete clarity and he had complete autonomy. And then Jerry, what happened? His ego got in the way. He wanted the credit for building the team. And the Cowboys have never been the same. Think about that. Since you fired him, they've never been the same. Why? Because you think you have to do everything. You know what's funny? I don't ever remember Coach Johnson ever calling a play on the sidelines. Never. Nope. I don't ever remember a press conference where he said, yeah, you know what? This is my defense or my offense. And you know what? I don't ever remember any of that shit. Never. It was North Turner's offense. It was Dave Wannstedt or Butch's defense. Nope, those are the guys. Because you know what he would do? You weren't good enough, you are fired. He brought his own coaches. Did you think there was a coincidence he brought all those coaches from Miami and places that coach at Oklahoma State with him to the Cowboys? They won Super Bowls and national titles together. How can Doug win with other people's coaches? I don't get it. And you listen, it sounds like chaos. Sills, honestly, if Lurie wants to screw around with this team, he can. But when it comes to the media, won't hold him accountable for his mistakes. They won't. That's right. The media in Philadelphia today, and part of the problem is that organization's PR department and how they are a propaganda tool for the Eagles. And it's not really giving you information. It's propaganda. It's a propaganda machine. There's no question about it. They set the narrative on the market, and they give accessibility to certain people, and they take accessibility away from certain people. They criticize people. They call people's bosses. They tell people and they give people certain information because they play along with them too. And that's why there's false narratives about. Listen to that interview. Did you listen to that thing? Sills, I'm going overboard with Lurie. I'm sorry, that press conference he had was bizarre. Okay, it was bizarre. I don't care what you said about Lurie. He's a good owner, certainly better than Brayman. That's not much. Again, Steve's telling me that Jeffrey Lurie's a better owner than Norman Brayman is like telling me that Devin White is an upgrade from Zach Cunningham. Okay? I thought the idea was to improve yourself into being a championship quality team and not get in the way. You know, the Eagles should have 4 Super Bowls by now. They should have 4 Super Bowls. Should have 4 Super Bowls. I mean, he talked to 1,000 people. Who were those 1,000 people? Coaches and players formed your opinion on whether you should keep Nick or not? Dude, you saw how that was. Look, Nick's what did Nick say to you and to the Yachtsman that helped keep his job? Well, we had plus and minuses column, and that's how we determined whether or not he was going to stay or go. I think you guys are now right. You guys do have a good team. Unfortunately, you have too many voices on that team. And you have no leadership. Leadership is when you need it the most, not when things are going great. And every time things go south on that team, they go south. And no one stops it. That's not leadership. That's false leadership. I still think Julian Lurie's analytics generated that dopey chunk play heavy offense. It gave, I agree too a little bit. Okay. Once again, LJ going overboard. Owner sucks. GM sucks. Our players suck. Janitors suck. Yeah. Listen to the interview. All you have to do is listen to that thing. It's bizarre. Even the Inquirer, LJ, unlike you, thought the thing was bizarre. Thought it was bizarre. And even said if Nick didn't bow down to the new hires, he'd be fired. This guy's, some of you people in here are making it sound like I made that up. The Inquirer also echoed it. They also echoed the same shit I just said. Okay? Who cares? He's a billionaire owner. Well, don't expect that guy to do the right things because he's a billionaire owner. You kidding me? Look at David Tepper. David Tepper's a shitty owner with more money than anybody in the league. And you know what? That guy will never win. Jeffrey Lurie has some good people. This guy, what's his name? Jake Rosenberg quit because he knows Julian Lurie's going to be the next general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. Writing's on the wall. He knows he can't advance. Plus, Howie's there. He'll never be the GM. Dude, the guy in waiting is Julian. And he knows for a fact He's not ever going to elevate himself, and he has to leave. Okay? And the way they talked at the owners' meetings, you could tell that this is a big loss for them. Lurie and Roseman are connivers, and I have been for a long time. And no, Deb, his press conference predicates that. Look at Bob makes a point here. Sills, talking to 1,000 people means nothing because he didn't listen to any of them. If you surround yourself with yes men and lock out dissenting opinions, you are destined to fail. You sound like NBC. Locking out other opinions. I love having dissenting opinions on a view. I do. I want to hear that. Okay? I want to hear that. Why is that, in your opinion, not right? Why am I wrong? Because it gives you some clarity on some stuff. It does. Okay? It does. I want to hear a coach say, no, that's, Coach Johnson used to go around the room with his assistant coaches when it came to players who would play and players who they would keep and who they wouldn't keep, whether it was Miami or it was in the NFL. And Jimmy would go like this, why do you want to keep this guy? He already had it in his mind who he wanted to keep and who he didn't want to keep. But he wanted his assistant coaches because you know what he was also doing? He wanted to know if you knew what you were talking about. Why do you want to keep this player? Because I think this guy has more than what that guy does, and he's going to be there for me when I need him. And he takes all that in, okay? And when you fight for people, you're more apt to keep the people. But if you're an assistant coach and you're not fighting for anybody except for your own job, you don't have any clarity in the building, and when shit goes sideways, you lose. Okay? That organization has underachieved. They should have more Super Bowls. There's a handful of teams that have won the final game of the year over you. You guys count these 12-win seasons, and it's fool's gold. That 11 wins last year was fool's gold. It didn't matter if you won 7 games or 11 games. Did it really matter in the end? Think about this. Prince, think of this for a second. Some of you in here, like LJ and some of you other guys will go, he's been a successful owner. What's the difference between 7 wins and 11 wins if you don't go anywhere? What's the difference? Look at the 49ers. The 49ers got to 4 quarters, and to the final 4 quarters, actually, they had to go to overtime. They had to go to 5 quarters. And at the end of the day, they underachieved. They were the better team. So you know what it was? It wasn't a colossal failure, but it underachieved. Well, it's small. I get all that. I'm talking, they're the better team. Okay? They're the better team. 11 wins meant nothing unless Jalen goes back to RPOs and running instead of this overpaid bum that he played like last year. Charlie, if they go back to RPOs, he's a Super Bowl contending MVP candidate. If they don't, they'll never see it. They'll get further away from it. The further away they get from Jalen Hurts running the ball, the further away they will get from being a Super Bowl contending team, because that's not who he is. He's not a better thrower than runner. He's a better runner setting up his pass. His running sets up the one deficiency he has, being a pocket guy. He's better in the pocket when you fear him running. When you don't run him, I don't fear him. I don't. When Hurts has the element of running, he's a weapon. Here's something else. You know, and I said this too, Charlie. Here's, you know, I saw, and I think Xander or James put something up. And James, thank you, brother. I said something about Josh Allen yesterday. Josh Allen can win with lesser talent. Jalen can't. It's plain and simple. He's had lesser talent his entire career in Buffalo around him than what Hurts has had in Philly. He has. There's not one thing that he's had that was superior to what Hurts had. So I want to clarify that. Allen wins with lesser talent. He wins with lesser talent. Brock Purdy also lost by 3 in the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts are the same. Okay? Oh, no. Oh, wait, whoa. I didn't say the same rules don't apply that he's got to win too. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he wins with lesser talent. Okay, well, he's won just as many ball games as Jalen has. And he's won 4 straight AFC East championships. He's won about 70% of his games like Jalen has with lesser talent. And you guys keep hanging on that Super Bowl. That means shit to me right now because he didn't win it. Because there's been lesser quarterbacks than Jalen get to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's the only thing you have on him. Nothing. He plays with lesser talent, and he plays with a defensive coach, and he's a better skilled player with lesser talent. Rick, look, that's all Rick has. 0 Super Bowl appearances. So you're telling me that Jimmy Garoppolo and Brock Purdy are in the same room with Jalen Hurts. Congratulations. Jalen Hurts is compared to Jimmy Garoppolo and to Brock Purdy. Okay. Sure. You can have that comparison. I'll take Allen if that's who those 3 guys are, because he's nothing close to that. And just think of this. That guy leads the NFL in turnovers every year. Think about that, Xander. He leads the NFL in turnovers every year and still wins as many games as Hurts. And he's won 4 straight AFC titles. And he wins with lesser talent. How's that possible? That shows you his greatness. He's at the top of the board every year in turnovers. And still, he wins as much, if not more than him. That's crazy. He has no one around him. Big Marshall, appreciate it. He was the best quarterback in the Super Bowl? Really? Unfortunately, he made the biggest mistakes in the Super Bowl, too, that cost him the game. Mahomes doesn't make mistakes in Super Bowls. Your guy did. Scoop and score, baby. Buffalo has had way better defense during Allen's time. Really? You had the number 2 defense in the National Football League in 22. What are you talking about? You had the number, 3 offense, number 2 defense? And he got beat by a lesser team. That guy has had nothing offensively. Nothing. Except Stephon Diggs. He wins more games with lesser talent than your guy does. You have 6 Pro Bowlers in the offense. He's got 1. You pay $135 million for your offense every year. And he gets just, and get this, he wins just as many games as your guy. Josh Allen chokes. Against who? Joe Burrow? Patrick Mahomes? Your guy choked against Mayfield. So he lost to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield. Convincingly. 3:30, Dick Vermeil will join us. 5:30 Eastern, we will talk to the legendary Mike Quick. Get his thoughts on how that thing all ended. Funny, I had a conversation with him earlier, and he was saying the same thing that Keith Byers was. That team was finished around Thanksgiving. How about that? You're great leaders in the Philadelphia organization. You got Mike Quick saying that thing was over. Thanksgiving, the season was over in November. The season was over in November. Okay? So Dick Vermeil at the bottom of the hour, and we will talk to Mike Quick at 5:30. Please hit the like button. Don't forget, March Madness, our good friends are teaming up with our friends here at JAKIB Sports, viewers and subscribers, Underdog Fantasy. Guys, we so appreciate you guys coming aboard with us and filling it up and signing up. All you have to do is put $10 in. $10. That's it. You can go as high as 100 and they'll match it. Underdog Fantasy will match it. Here's the code word. WIN. W-I-N. That's W-I-N. Make sure you use the promo code. Hey, Big Sills, love your honesty. If Dak, Purdy, and Hurts are in the AFC, are they lucky to be a wild card team if they are lucky? Your thoughts? Well, the 49ers are a great roster. If Dak's in the AFC, Dak's not in the playoffs. And neither is that team that finished up the regular season last year. You actually think, who would you take if you were going to build your team right now? Jalen Hurts or CJ Stroud? Would you take Hurts over Jordan Love right now? Who would you feel more comfortable building your team around? Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love or CJ Stroud? Hurts. Good luck to you. Really. Hit the like button. Hour number 2. Another topic question, and then Dick Vermeil will join us at the bottom of the hour. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Appreciate you coming aboard. Dick Vermeil, bottom of the hour. I see someone say that Dan hates Jalen. I don't give a shit about Jalen Hurts either way. Don't know him from a can of paint. I don't hate on people I don't know. You don't like the opinion? I don't care. Okay? You take your guy, and I'll take mine. I mean, what do you think? You're going to convince me by calling me a troll, a hater? I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if the Eagles call my bosses and want me to root them on. I'm not doing that. And by the way, on top of that, I'm more convinced than ever before he'll never win again because the Eagles are not going to allow him to win again. You know, the one thing Buffalo is doing, they're not stopping Allen from running, but they're stopping Hurts from running. Because you know why in Buffalo? They know that's a dynamic he needs to win. And he needs that because of the lesser players there. They figure if they put more superstars around Hurts, he doesn't have to. They're missing it. The more superstars they add around Hurts, the more they hurt him because he's not a passer. He couldn't spread the ball around the last 2 years. Well, I'll take that back. In 22, he could. You know why? He ran. He ran. And I swear to you, I'll say it one more time to you. He was a weapon. He was a weapon in 22. Broke defensive. Last year, he was not. He was common. He played common. Like, he wasn't special. Some look at the numbers and go, dude, this is a guy who's never thrown for 4,000 yards in an NFL that the rules are set up for you to throw for 4,500 every. Kirk Cousins will never not throw for 4,000 yards unless he's hurt. And you're telling me Cousins is a better passer than Jalen Hurts? And he is. And he's got, I wouldn't say he's got lesser talent. Addison and Jefferson are great. No, Sills, he had the OC. The organization getting in the way too, Prince. Correct. Okay. Correct. The guy couldn't handle blitzes last year at all. He was third in the most blitz guy. He was third in the most hits on quarterback. And he targeted 2 guys. And I'm going to get to this here. I want to show you something here that I think is really awesome that a coach that none of you like is doing. Here it is. So Jonathan Gannon was talking about Kyler Murray. And Prince, this might be to your point. He was talking about Kyler Murray. And you know what he said down there in Orlando? You know, Kyler Murray, man, without a doubt, getting a full spring with him, I can't wait to work with him. I think his best football is ahead of him. He and I are working hand in hand on trying to make this the best possible season that we have with him. And his best football is yet to be played. I feel it in my heart, and I know it. Do you know what he's doing? Whether he's there in 2025 or not, and whether the Cardinals move on from him, he's giving Kyler Murray every chance to succeed. He can. Whether he does or he doesn't, he's giving positive motivation to the kid, and he's trying to show the kid, I'm 1,000% behind you, and I'm with you. You know what Kyler Murray's reciprocating by saying? I love being around this man. This man has my best interest at heart. I never hear that with Nick and Jalen. It seems contentious. And anytime he's asked a question about their relationship, he deflects it. He completely deflects it. And Barb says, Bleacher Report has Cardinals trading Murray. Right. Well, let's just say they are. Why in the world would you try to do this? Why would you diminish somebody on your football team like a Hassan Reddick if you told him to go out and seek a trade, if you were going to move him? Why would you do that, Barb? The Cardinals are showing. Do you see what the Bears finally are doing something smart in Chicago? You know what that is? Oh, my God, Caleb Williams is unbelievable. Oh, my God, Caleb Williams, I've never seen anything like it. Holy cow, his leadership. I can't believe what Caleb Williams looks like. It's two things they're doing. They're propping up a guy who they're going to take. Or secondly, they're propping the pickup. So somebody will go up and get him, and they'll go down to 2 and get Daniels, the guy they really covet. That's how you increase a guy's value. Not decreasing a guy's value like Hassan Reddick. Think about that. They took a shit all over Hassan Reddick for the last year and a half. You got the Cardinals propping up Murray, and you got the Bears propping up the number 1 pick. Whether that's Caleb or not is not the point. Those organizations are at least trying to build value. If the Eagles really were trying to build value for more picks on Reddick, and get this, here's what that guy, the Yachtsman, said about him. You want to hear what the Yachtsman said? The situation will work out for what's best for both parties. That's a lawyer's answer. That's a lawyer's answer. That's not a conviction answer. Hey, man, we may say all the shit we want about Jonathan Gannon. But he beat you with nobodies. And he's trying to embrace his quarterback. Does Nick embrace Jalen? Does Nick embrace him? Does Jalen hey, how many years now? What is it now? How many years has Nick Sirianni been with Jalen Hurts? How many years has he been with it? 3? 3 years, right? Do you think Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have a good relationship? And if you say, I don't know, okay, that's an option too. Does he have a good relationship? Yes or no? Or I don't know. Pick one of those two. Pick one. No. Not at all. Does Hurts like being in Philly? Barb, I think he does. I think he does. Look at Steve. So after 3 years, the head coach and the quarterback, let's just go with Steve, who I like. I like the fact he and I go back and forth, okay? Watch this. Steve, after 3 years, you got a so-so relationship with your quarterback that you're paying $50 million to? You think that's healthy? Jonathan was correct about Nick's poor offense, which led to his victory. Slam dunk take there. Okay, slam dunk take. Get this, Flexen goes, they tolerate each other. I don't want my head coach. Look, let's take one of the absolutely most contentious relationships in pro football history between a coach. There's two of them. Do you know what the two most contentious relationships for championship quarterback head coaches were, in my opinion? Do you know what they were? I think it was Chuck Noll and Bradshaw, especially early in Bradshaw's career when he would bench him for Terry Hanratty and some of the other guys that they would put in there. I mean, look, remember how many times early in the career, some of you are too young for it, but Chuck Noll used to bench him for his bonehead moves. And right, MG, Tom and Bill. But you know what they did have for one another? They respected each other's knowledge of the game of football, and they worked together. They were side by side, hand in hand. Did they play golf? No. Did they go to lunch? No. Did they hang out on vacations? No. You know why? Because how many times have you seen Tom Brady crying when talking about Belichick? You know why? Because they were with each other for 8 months, 24/7, going over situational football, learning from one another. And when the student overcame the teacher, it was time to move on. It happens. How many times do you see the student eventually, look at Coach Krzyzewski. He coached with Coach Knight when he was at Army. It was time to move to Duke and do his own deal. He had built enough knowledge up being around Knight, and he went on. Same thing with Andy Reid with Mike Holmgren. It happens. Same with Doug Peterson and Andy Reid. You move on because you learn from these people. Okay? Jalen and Nick, it just looks so contentious. By the way, Dick Vermeil's going to join us at the bottom of the hour here. I wrote down a list of coaches just to show you the kind of style. By the way, these aren't the best coaches in the NFL. Some of them are. But I put a list of coaches that I'd love to play for that are in today's game. And just so we can get some context what I'm talking about in the style of coach that I'm looking for. I'd love to play for that, and I wrote 11 down, not 10, because I thought there's 11 of them. I got Todd Bowles. I don't know. I think Todd Bowles did one whale of a job last year with that football team, and it looks like everyone loves playing for him. And I think this guy and the Glazers are being patient with him. They're giving talent and putting talent. They have a talented general manager in Jason Light, and they believe in Todd. Man, I'd like to play for that guy. He's got a calm demeanor on the sidelines, yet leadership look, the way he talks to his players, the way he corrects them, the way he coaches them. I just think Todd Bowles, there's not a chance in hell that Nick Sirianni's in that guy's league when it comes to how you conduct yourself on a sideline. Bowles is so much superior. What a great coach. Number 10, I got Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh demands excellence. This guy's living in an RV outside of the complex where the Chargers work. This guy's in an RV because he can't wait to get to work. And he can't wait to fix things. And he can't wait to work with Justin Herbert. This guy can't wait. Sleeping bugs him because he can't wait to get to work. And he can't wait to put the Chargers in a position to be successful. Jim Harbaugh's not going to the Chargers to be common. He's going to be exceptional. Every place he's ever been, no matter what it is. And I'll tell you something, that's a for sure thing in football. You want to win games, you hire a Harbaugh because those guys don't lose. Number 9, I think Andy Reid looks like he is without a doubt. I can't wait to talk to Coach Vermeil in a couple minutes. Ask him, does he feel he was a better coach in St. Louis than he was in Philly? Some of the things he had learned in Philly. Andy Reid, I disagree with Angelo. I think it'd be awesome to play for him because you know why? I think he gives you every opportunity to succeed. They put as many good people around you. When it comes to Steve Spagnuolo, all the great position coaches they have, they want to win. Oh, and by the way, it's not so much about cheeseburgers and cakes and lounge chairs at the NovaCare complex. It's more about winning. Number 8, I got Doug Peterson. I think Doug is cut out of the Andy Reid cloth. Former player. Guy had a scrape for every single thing he ever played for. Guy here is, without a doubt, no question about it, one of the absolutely people coaches you can have. And he's a former player, and he knows what you go through. I just love Doug Peterson. Second best coach of Philadelphia. Third best coach the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. Or how about this? Let's be fair. One of the 3 best coaches the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. Number 7, DeMeco Ryans. Whew. Man, you know the respect he must command when he walks in the building, knowing the kind of player he was. And then you see how he commanded the room and how he just turned around. That thing was a shit show 2 years ago. And him, Nick Caserio, have turned that thing around. And it is incredible. I would love to be part of that whole thing and how that thing, what did Nick say? Planting the seeds. Whew. You want to know planting the seeds? They're planting the seeds in Houston. I'll tell you this, man. Unbelievable. DeMeco Ryans has got that program set in the right direction. What a good-looking coach. You know, I had my question marks. Remember what I said at the beginning of the year about Matt LaFleur? We're going to find out what kind of guy he is. How about the patience he had when Jordan Love was shitting all over himself early in the year? No, he's here. Nope, he's going to get it. Nope, I see it. He kept telling people in week 4 and 5, I see it. I see it. You guys might not. I see it. He's seeing it. It's going to come. He's seeing it. All of a sudden, he started to show it. And the coach kept hanging there. These receivers are coming along. They're coming along with him. They're coming along with him. Defense picked up on the other side. Got to tell you, man. No doubt about it. No, I didn't, senor. Absolutely not. I did not. No way. Absolutely true. No way did I see it with Jordan Love. You are dead on. Yes. Whew. Was I wrong? That guy's come on like a ton of bricks because he's getting proper coaching. I had absolutely, senor. Yes. Okay. And he's proven me wrong. This guy LaFleur can coach. Okay. I'll tell you the only thing I have a problem with Matt LaFleur. I think when he gets into the postseason, I think he starts to nut up a bit. You know, he gets conservative. I still think, you know what he has? He has Andy Reid, Philadelphia Eagle syndrome. I think he tightens up in playoffs. Okay? He still has to coach better in better situations. But again, Andy wasn't very good like that in Philly. But again, when you have a guy like 15, he's going to cover a whole bunch. Okay? Chris got a great one. Who's the best team in Texas in 2 years? The Texans or the Cowboys? Hey, man, I may have to go with the Houston Texans. How about this one, number 5? Who would have thought that Dan Campbell would have been a better hire than Nick Sirianni? He's turned the entire culture around with Brad Holmes in Detroit. Where no one wins. Detroit. This WWE head coach looks like he'd be another former player. You know, it's funny here. Another former player. I'm attracted to that. Another former player. I love the way he coaches that Lions team. And boy, in the last 2 years, have they come on like a ton of bricks. That's crazy great. This one may surprise. These are coaches that I like to play for. This may surprise you. A guy with a Hello Kitty backpack who goes around on a motorized scooter, and he drives one of those little Fiat like kit cars that you plug into a lighter, where you plug into your cell phone so that he can get back and forth to the complex. He's as weird as it gets. But there's something about Mike McDaniels in Miami that I'd like to play for. I think he's got a heck of a culture. Seriously, this guy goes around with a Hello Kitty backpack, and he's on a motorized scooter. He's in one of those those cars you see on the highway. You're like, I'm not getting in that, because if I'm in that, I could eat that car. And there's something about him, okay, that I dig. Okay, I like this guy. Number 3, Sean McVay. What else do you need to say about him? He's going to let you coach. If you're a position coach, hey, that defense is yours. I hired you for a reason. You know, when I draft a player or when I'm coaching a player, it's the same when it comes to get this. If you draft a player, don't you want the player to be the best he could possibly be by letting him be? Why wouldn't you do that with your coaches? Unfortunately, in Philly, they don't do that. Let the coach. How come coaches can't expand themselves? I think it's no coincidence that the 2 best coaches the Eagles have had in the Nick Sirianni time have been the first 2. With Gannon and Steichen have been the 2 best coaches that Sirianni has had so far since he's been there. He's been the 2 best coaches. They were rewarded with head coaching jobs. There's no coincidence to that. I got John Harbaugh, number 2, the most underrated coach in the NFL. I just, the 2 most underrated, he's got to be one of the most underrated coaches. And of course, number 1, I got Mike Tomlin. For me, Mike Tomlin, I think Mike Tomlin personifies. Do you want to hear how great the Pittsburgh Steelers have it this year? Do you want to hear this? Listen to this one, Xander. The Pittsburgh Steelers are spending a total of $5 million on both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. A total of $5 million for both those players. I can't believe $5 million on Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. That can't be any more Pittsburgh Steeler than right there. Hey, that's how you run an organization. That's value. Some of you go, Russell Wilson's cooked. Well, it ain't cost them anything at the most important position. And what if that guy wins? He takes that team to an AFC championship game. They'll re-up him. Look at LJ. Great. They'll lose in the first round as usual. Well, you're paying $50 million. You got crushed in the first round too. Cost them $5 million for 2 guys. Cost you $55 million for 1 guy to get crushed. That's the value, my friends, that LJ refuses to see. What's the point of spending that money on Jalen when he takes you just as far as Russell Wilson? What's the point? And you're spending all that money on all that quality talent that you have. Dude, if Russell Wilson fails in the first round, the Steelers are going to look at adding players to the offense. There's nothing else the Eagles can do for Jalen if he loses in the first round. What else are you going to hire? How much more money are you going to spend? I mean, where are you going? You spend $50 million on a quarterback, and then you're spending $5 million on two guys. Hey, if you don't see the value, that's a you thing. You'll have to figure that out. Shit, man. Check it out. Brock Purdy made $800,000. Took his football team all the way to the Super Bowl. Your guys make $50 million and got waxed in the opening round of the playoffs. I don't know. What's value? Pretty simple. We are efforting our friend Dick Vermeil. Hopefully we're able to run him down and catch up with him here and get him up here and talk with him. All right. What do you think will be the number one job this offseason that will dictate success during the regular season? What is the number one thing that the Eagles have to accomplish and trying to figure out? What is the number one thing they have to figure out? What's the number one thing that they have to figure out? Okay? Chris says top 12 defense. Stopping the run. Establish the run and take the pressure off Hurts. Okay? Fire Nick. Well, you've got him, so keep him. Apparently, they need a love affair between Jalen and Nick. Nobody said love affair. There was no love affair in New England. Once again, overblown and dumb. Knowing secondary players are the best they get in the draft. Is Kellen Moore the guy? I like that one there. Here's what I think is the biggest job that they have to figure out. How are you going to use Saquon Barkley? How are you going to use him for it to be considered a success? How will they use him? How would you use Saquon Barkley? Barkley will be receiver number 3. 20 to 25 touches a game. I do not believe he's going to get that. Okay. He's not good on short yardage. Switch between Barkley and Hurts running. They did not sign Saquon Barkley. Okay, they did not sign Saquon Barkley to run Hurts more. I said touches, not all runs. So you think he's going to get between 12 rushing attempts and 12 targets? 12 pass receptions a game? That'll be more than what AJ gets. Okay? Hey, Sills, 1980 Birds ran at 34 under Marion Campbell. So please ask Coach V about the backers in a 34. I will. We're efforting him. Hopefully we're able to run him down. Big Sills, you're the best. Thanks, man. Hey, Manster, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Coach is on his way. So I will ask that question. And so he just talked to Coach. Xander just had a chance to talk with Coach Vermeil. Let me get my stuff ready here. I like that too. Herm Edwards actually addressed that when it came to the 34 too. How about this, man? Half the people that played for Coach Vermeil I either played against or I know, like Herm Edwards and with Randy Cross. Randy played, if I'm not mistaken, I think Randy Cross played on that 75 or 76 Rose Bowl team. And it was funny because Randy texted me because I tweeted out that I was getting Coach Vermeil on, and Randy goes, "Hey Sills, ask Coach about today's practices. See how he goes with today's practices when it comes to only playing like 35 minutes." Barkley can block if Hurts runs. Jalen just has to. You know what I'm going to ask also, Coach? Would you put the RPO back in the offense? It just doesn't make sense. He's more of a weapon. And I actually heard Coach Vermeil I think it was last year, talking about Jalen Hurts. And I completely agreed with him when he was like, keep that RPO in there, run him. And he is a weapon when he's dual threat like that. He's a weapon when he's dual threat. Now, before I bring Coach Vermeil on here, Randy Cross said this. He goes, Sills, I saw that you're getting Coach Vermeil on. He goes, ask Coach this, because Randy was on that Rose Bowl team for Coach Vermeil. He goes, Sills, ask him how many times he goes to practice in today's NFL, puts his head down and goes, no way. 30 minutes of practice. He goes, Sills, you and me went through 3 days. I went through 3 days with Ray Perkins. He goes, ask Coach Vermeil that. He goes, he would shake his head like this. Let's bring in Coach Vermeil, and let's get him on here right now. Hey, Coach, practices today in the NFL, 35 minutes. Is that going to cut it with you?
Well, it's, 35-minute walkthroughs, but the normal practices are 2 hours. That's what they're limited to. And, with more coaches than, for example, I was at Eagles, I had 10 guys, okay? When you divide up 24 guys into coaching, you probably can get a lot more done in 2 hours than we could get in 3 hours with 10 guys. But it's different, and there's many things really good about it, too. Less contact, fewer bangs to the head, fewer knee injuries maybe, and these kinds of things. So that's all benefits the player, and the game has remained very exciting. So it hadn't hurt the game that much. So as an old critical coach, you look at the fundamentals, sometimes you say, wow, it's not like it used to be.
Absolutely. Coach, well, let me say this, though. When you have a lot of new faces come into an organization, like it looks like the Eagles have made with free agency so far, and you're limited in practice time, especially when you're an O-lineman, you know that the skill set on that side of the ball takes a little more time. Or when you're talking about routes, and then you got new coordinators, do you think that's going to be more of a process for those guys to have to go through and making the offseason more of a priority than they have in the past because you've got a lot of new faces?
Yeah, well, speaking of Philadelphia, definitely, because you'll remember last year they were very confident the kind of team they had, and they didn't think they needed as much work, and they cut the OTAs from 12 to 6 and didn't even have a mini camp. So there's 6 practices there and 2 a day, 3. That's 12 practice sessions. I think they'll probably utilize those this year. It's just, you go through things. Sometimes you do things as a coach, you make a mistake. Next year, you don't do it again. You change. And, something definitely went wrong last year. And so I'm sure that Nick, the caliber coach he is, and now his staff have been reorganized a little bit. They'll straighten some things out.
Coach, I heard you last year on WIP when you were talking about Jalen Hurts, and I completely agreed with you when you said that, hey, Coach, when he's in that RPO and you're a defensive guy and you watch that guy on 3rd and 11, and he just breaks the defensive coordinator's back when he picks that up, and then when they seemingly take that away from him, I think it makes him less dynamic, and you're trying to turn him into a passer, and you're taking one of the elements away from him. Do you agree, Coach, that they should run him as much as they did in the past to help his passing game and his passing routes? Or do you like the way that they're developing him now? Because, Coach, he did take a step back last year.
Well, first off, I don't think he has any limitations. I think you can do what you want to do with him. I would probably have a design run or two and a limited number of RPOs and try to run him maybe more efficiently than maybe less or more. And definitely do not ever remove the scramble run, especially against the man coverages and that kind of stuff, because then he controls the amount of man coverage they play by his ability to run, and that scares the coordinators to death, as you know. And but I would definitely have a run or two, maybe 3 or 4 that I could call and think he's going to be able to take care of himself upon contact, but also make a lot of yards in the design run.
Coach, I had Keith Byers on the other day, and he said something about the team. By the way, Mike Quick's going to join us. I'll make sure I say hi to him for you. He'll be on at 5:30. Keith said this. He goes, after Thanksgiving, they didn't play championship football because they weren't spreading the ball around. And now when you have Saquon Barkley, Coach, I think one of the biggest questions about Barkley, how are you going to utilize him? Because are you going to give him 20, 25 touches? Are you going to know that a player who's had injury issues in his past, again, New York hasn't had a lot of talent. There's a ton of talent in Philadelphia. But, Coach, how would you use Saquon Barkley to be implemented? Because there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense.
Often.
Would the offense run through him?
He is no value sitting on the bench. No value. And, I used to do that, with Wilbert Montgomery. And when I saw him standing beside me on the sideline, I said, I'm in second gear. And not that the other kids couldn't play, but they couldn't make the explosive play that he might make on the next play. So I would make sure that he touches the ball in run and pass game, probably try to around 25 times a game. You're like a Marshall Faulk type guy. He has no limitation. Now you have 2 guys in the backfield have no limitation. You've got 2 wide receivers that have very little, if any, limitation. You got an offensive line that's outstanding and well coached. You've got a hell of an offensive football team. But I'll tell you, as soon as you take one of those guys out, you drop a little bit in the ability to make that one big explosive play that he might make. I would like to see him run the ball a minimum of 20 times a game. That's me. And all the great runners, if you go into NFL records and study, the Dallas Cowboy running backs, the Eric Dickersons, and all these kind of guys, the Walter Paytons, they carried the ball often. And they weren't too concerned about how many guys were in the box. They just called running plays and allowed that guy to run the football. They're the leading rushers in the history of the league, those guys. And I think you've got to be careful that you don't overprotect your running back.
Coach, I used to get Mike Martz on my program when I was doing radio in Southern California because he lives in SoCal. And I asked him, I go, man, when you're trying to get all those great wideouts and Kurt, he goes, no. Coach Vermeil's offense and our offense went through Marshall Faulk. It started there. It ended there. Our offense was fueled by that guy. Everyone else profited off of what Marshall did. Would you, if that's you, are you saying to use Saquon kind of the same way that you and Mike used Marshall Faulk in that offense?
I would, and Mike Martz, we're speaking of, was just outstanding. That was his first job as an offensive coordinator, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He had been an offensive coordinator in college. That's where I met him. But, when you have that guy in the backfield that can tie up the linebackers in the running game and passing game and try to force people to bring those safeties up in there to stop the run, your wide receivers are going to be more explosive. But it's a cat and mouse game, and I think the offenses today are so much more sophisticated than, say, my Eagle offense. There's no comparison. You're comparing our 1980 Super Bowl team offense, which was a good one. And I would say it's like comparing a 1980 Cadillac with a 2024 Cadillac. There's a lot more to them today. More technology, more people teaching, and people over the years have learned how to keep improving schemes. And, just look at Andy Reid. Who's doing it any better? He wasn't doing it as well in 1980 as he is now because the scheme keeps maturing and technically sounder. And they start coaching things in this direction and eliminate this because they never got any production out of it. And it's fascinating to watch. I really enjoy watching the offensive game today. It's amazing. Yeah.
Coach, you mentioned Andy, and one of my questions was going to be, do you believe that you were a better coach in St. Louis than you were in Philly because of the experience that you got in Philadelphia on the things you did right and maybe some of the things you'd like to have changed? Were you a better coach in St. Louis?
No. Experience only helps you after you needed it. Okay, remember that. But no, because I was young and I was running my own offense, coaching my own quarterbacks. I had Sid Gilman working with them on the field, but I ran the quarterback meetings and the offensive coordinator meetings and the team meetings. That was it. Totally involved. But being out of it for 14 years, coming back into it with the Rams, I did a better job of the overall organization. In every department, I was involved. Whereas a head coach, of course, there weren't as many departments in the old days either. But when you're more zeroed in on the football X's and O's, it's actually more fun. Sometimes when you're the general of the organization, sometimes you feel a little left out. And you're able to make a contribution, but not like you were when you were young, running the whole thing. It's running the whole show. It's not quite as much fun. It's very rewarding. Now you end up with a team like St. Louis. You got 4 guys on offense that are already in the Hall of Fame. Okay, 4 of them. And you got 1 more coming in Torrey Holt. So, my staff did a beautiful job led by Mark Martz, especially that Super Bowl year.
So would you say, Coach, you enjoyed coaching more in Philly and you became a better delegator in St. Louis?
Oh, no question. Yeah. The actual coaching of the zero X's and O's and that kind of stuff, no question. Hey, coming from UCLA, myself and Rod Dowhauer running the offense there with Terry Donahue, and then winning the Rose Bowl, and I'm calling every play in that game, and all of a sudden you're standing on the sideline listening to what somebody else has called. Yes, you sit in the meetings, but you can't add your impulses and all those kind of things, and the gut feelings you get from time to time when it's running like that, and you're just standing listening. It's different. A lot of people do it that way. In fact, probably more do it that way today than ever before. Andy Reid still runs his offense and still calls his own plays. And I think he spent a little time not doing that. Let somebody else call it. But it's a little more fun because you feel a little more attached. Anyway, that's how I felt.
Coach, it's funny. You talk about UCLA and, when Coach Johnson, my coach in college and in the pros, when he went from the college game to the Cowboys, he had a conviction. And I think like you, no, we're going to, even 1-15, Coach, he was like this. No, we're going to play to 43. We're going to do this. We're going to do it this way. We're going to die on the vine with it, or we're going to succeed. Is it important, like for a guy like Jim Harbaugh too, that you have that same kind of conviction? And I'm not saying you don't wobble your views when someone's giving you something else, but how important was that for you making that transition by sticking with your thought process on what did you wanted to see the Eagles look like? Because you're coming from the college game to the pros. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
How hard or how easy was that for you?
Well, I'd been an assistant coach in the NFL.
Right.
I was an offensive coordinator with the Rams in 71 and 72. Then I stayed there with Chuck Knox, and I was his running back coach and special teams coach. So I'd been in there and I've been there. But when I left UCLA, I brought basically spring practice type practice schedules to training camp. Okay. So we were consistently working on the fundamentals of the game because we knew we didn't have any draft choices. And we felt if we did that, we could improve the players that we have. And then we gradually add more talent to it. And when we started adding more talent, some of our players that weren't as talented became very fine players because of working on the fundamentals of the game all the time. Now the coaches don't get as much time to work on fundamentals. It really shows an offensive line play. I don't know an offensive line coach right now that doesn't coach within a frustrated mind, that he just doesn't have enough time to really develop kids, develop them. And our old thought was we would never draft an offensive lineman in the first round unless he was predicted a Hall of Famer. Orlando Pace. Unusual. But you would pick a guy in the second, third round because you could coach him in time to be a first round quality player. harder to do today. And I feel sorry for the coaches in that regard. It's harder to do. Jimmy Johnson is a great example. You talk about a great football coach. I'm a big admirer of his because I know players that played for him, you know, and I don't know him personally well. I know him, but I don't know him personally one-on-one a lot. But they coach football, okay? They coach the fundamentals of the game. Our offenses weren't that sophisticated. They're very good, very structured, very disciplined, and fundamentally sound.
You know, it's funny, Coach. I feel the same talking to you as I do when you know what's crazy? Because many people I know who played for you, my coach to this day, 35 years removed from me playing from him, he's the same guy when I was 19 years old that when I am right now. He never changed. He just loves me, and it's great. And when I saw you inducted into the Hall of Fame, his notion was it was a great reward for all of us. And it was about the players, the assistants. Yeah. It was about all the people that he enjoyed being around to get, and all the hard work it paid off. And it's just, is that kind of how you felt, Coach, when you went in, that it was more about the assistants, all the players and all the things, the equipment managers, UCLA, San Mateo High School, when you're there, all of that, right, Coach?
Six of my starters were at the Hall of Fame. Okay. No, but really, Dan, you made a statement a minute ago. I'm going to back you up on it. You said I played for him. I played for Coach.
Yeah.
You know, I gradually learned what an unbelievable responsibility that is. That's a hell of a responsibility.
Because, Coach,
I hear it all the time here.
Coach, it's blind faith in you.
Yeah.
You have to have blind faith that you're telling me something that I don't know what the success is going to be. And when you feel it and see it, you're like this.
Yeah.
I went 2 national championships at Miami, one of them with him. And I'm like, wow, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you played at Miami, you played for the coach. Okay. And I've heard that so many times that every time I heard it, it deepened my responsibility and sense of responsibility for what I was as a coach and for what I was in relationship to my players.
Coach, I've always wanted to ask you this. You know, I asked Mike Martz this question, and I want to see if you echo it. I said, Mike, when you're making that decision when Trent Green goes down, and nobody in the room wanted to do it, and his assistant coaches were like, no, we got to trade, we got to make. He goes, Dick is the only guy, or one of the only guys in the room that just went like this. No, there's something about that. Coach, that's not analytics. That's not anything for a guy who's been cut 6 times or whatever he was, putting ketchup on a shelf in a grocery store. You're sitting there and you're looking at a kid. Where does that come from, Coach, where you just go, no, I'm going to put my entire coaching faith in this guy with the Rams here. I'm going with him. It was a Hall of Fame decision, Coach.
Well, we all were involved in the decision. When you're a head coach, you're at the final decision. And Mike was deeply involved in the overall evaluation. And like Mike said, we could look all over it. I can't name somebody that's automatically going to come in and be what Trent Green was. But we have a guy here in the offense that was here last year. Now he's in our offense now and in our training camp now, and he's looked pretty good on the practice field. I liked him from the year before when he was our third quarterback and he was running our scout team offense against our defense. I used to walk off the field. I'd say to Peter Junta and John Bunning, our coordinators, I'd say, guys, either this kid can play or our defense is lousy because he just picks us apart, you know. So, you know, sometimes you have a tendency to say, oh, yes, practice and he's run the car, plays off the card. That won't happen game day. And, you know, sometimes that doesn't happen game day. But we were fortunate. He got better as soon as he started playing games. He got better. And there are guys like that. And I've been very, very fortunate with my quarterback situations, okay, in my entire career. My high school quarterback was all conference. My JC quarterback was all conference. My college quarterback was an All-American, you know.
John Shara.
John Shira, yeah. Ron Jaworski becomes an All-Pro, and Kurt Warner becomes a Hall of Famer. Trent Green makes All-Pro later. So sometimes it's a hunch. And every once in a while, I pat myself on the back. I said, something always directs me in the right direction, and I can't really pinpoint it, but it's usually just an overall gut feeling about this guy and going on what you see.
You think it's football intuition, Coach?
I think part of it, yeah. And, I think that there are people that are more instinctively better leaders, and it's not a program thought. It comes to them. And these are the things we have to do. And it's not a response you write down before you say it. It's now as you make it, and I was fortunate many times in making critical decisions, hiring coaches. Many coaches get fired because they hired the wrong guys. You can't do it all yourself. But, no, as you get older, you realize as a head coach, you better know the main things.
Coach Jimmy Johnson told me, Coach, that every head coach, if you don't have the quality assistant coaches around them, and especially an offensive line coach, not a chance in hell you're going to be successful, because you can't do it alone. And if you don't have that assistant coaching staff, and maybe that's one of the reasons the Eagles had a bumpy ride last year, is because of the inexperience. And I'm not throwing any shade on Sean Desai or Brian Johnson, but when you're in a position where you're this close to being a Super Bowl champion, experience matters in that game, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, but, like I said, Mike Martz didn't have any NFL coordinator experience either. But, just have a hunch who's the right guy. And something went wrong last year, okay? They were not the same now. They lost an offensive coordinator and they lost a defensive coordinator. Maybe those guys were making outstanding contributions. And when it changes and the other people aren't experienced or aren't the same quality, especially under pressure, especially in planning what we're going to do with the ball Sunday, it affects the quarterback more than any other position.
Two last questions for you, Coach. I'd like to get you think coaching someone like Pat Mahomes is easy or hard?
Well, I think I don't think there's anything easy in coaching. Okay, I don't think it's easy, and I don't think you mean it when you say easy. You have no limitation on what you ask him to do. You as a coach, you say, well, we can't do that because he can't do this. He can't throw this kind of ball. We can't get in these multiple formations because he can't handle the complexity. He can't read the defense. I say this about Jalen Hurts. He has no, as far as I'm concerned, I go to practice once a year, so I'm not an expert on it, but I watch him play. He has no limitations. Mahomes has no limitations, and he gets to prove it every week because he hasn't lost his offensive coordinator. That's the same guy. He's got the same guy, and they grow together. They grow together. But Mahomes is going to go down as probably the finest ever. Right now, yeah, Tom Brady's the finest ever. Yeah. Have you watched the show Dynasty?
Yes.
Outstanding. It was an outstanding. I loved every minute. I didn't realize Belichick was so tough, but I'm glad he was, because he won 6 Super Bowls being that way. I wish I could have been tougher.
How about this, Coach? Coach Johnson says that during the time, every year he'd come down to Isle Morada, where Coach Johnson lives, and they would talk about coaching. And he said that this is what him and Brady did. The relationship at times was contentious, but there was massive respect. And the only thing those guys would sit around doing for hours, besides the practice field time, was that they would do situational football. And they would sit there and go like this, and Bill would go, what are you going to do? 3rd and 6, minus 20, 12 minutes left in the half, one timeout. And then Tom would have to come up. He'd fire something out. I'm bringing a blitz here. And that's all those guys were doing. They were going back and forth and playing like war games. And he was schooling him on when it came to situational play calling, because, as you know, Coach, Mahomes is the most talented kid, and Aaron Rodgers. They're way more super skilled than what Brady is. But Brady's a savant in that huddle. Yeah. I mean, he just knows pre-call snaps.
Yeah, but the variable of under pressure football, the variables, and not everybody handles the variables as well. Nobody has ever handled the variables any better than Tom Brady, and more consistently. Joe Montana, maybe.
Yeah.
It's in the same thing. But it's just when you watch him play, and I coached against him enough of the times, especially when I was with the Chiefs, and you watch him play and what he does, he's amazing.
Absolutely.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Coach, finally, do you like the state of the game right now? Now I'm a defender. These new, now you can't do the hip drop tackle. And I'm telling you, Coach, pretty soon we're going to have flags on these guys.
Yeah.
And we're going to be playing flag football. I mean, I don't know if Lawrence Taylor or Reggie White or any of these guys could play in today's game, because the game, in my opinion, was way more physical. And to your point, Coach, hey, look, CTE, you've got to be careful with that. It was not as looked at back then. No one knew what was going on with the helmets and all that. I get it. But I mean, Coach, we still got to be a football game. You don't want to hurt the integrity of the sport.
Well, I'm old enough. I've coached some guys that have already passed away. Then when their brains were checked out, they had CTE. And every one of them said to me prior to passing on, they wouldn't change one thing in regard to their football careers. They would play the game.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think it's smart as hell to keep trying to make it safer for the player, but you've got to be careful that you don't, in trying to make it safer, you lose what the game is all about and what made it a great game. These guys play football because they like to, then obviously even today now they're making a lot of money, and that's great. I'm happy for them, coaches as well. But I just think they know the risk they're taking to play the game. They don't have to play. It's not a state law. If you're in Louisiana, you have to play football for the Miami Dolphins.
Hey, Coach, it's not a draft you have to show up for.
No, you do it because you want to. And you just like, I grew up around auto racing. Okay, just like race drivers, when it used to be really dangerous. I mean, really dangerous. They knew what they were getting in for. So but I think, to summarize what I'm saying, I think any move you can make that might save somebody from getting hurt is a good move. But there's a point of where officiating gets in, and the officiating can become a distraction to the game, But I'm glad that what they're doing with the kickoff return, they put that back in the game, and I think it's going to be a benefit. But the game overall, to sit down and watch, is a better game than it's ever been, because there's more things happen exciting, and I really enjoy watching it. And I'm envious of the quality of some of these coaches in the National Football League. I mind they're doing wonderful jobs.
Coach, it's been awesome, but I do have to ask one last thing here. Eagles, St. Louis, or Kansas City? What was your favorite stopping grounds?
Well, I'd have to say Philadelphia, because I live here. My grandchildren were born here. My kids finished their education here, got married here.
Was it because it was your first choice? Was it because it was your first opportunity?
Yeah, and I was deeply involved in everything.
Yeah.
And not that when you don't run your own offense, you're not deeply involved. But I mean, it's just every minute. So that Kansas City was, and St. Louis, but Kansas City even more so, was every bit as passionate as Philadelphia, not quite as intense. You could lose a tough game in Kansas City, walk out the tunnel, and someone would say, "That's all right, Coach. We'll get him next week. Good job." I didn't hear that many times, which you respect. I respect their deep, intense emotional feelings toward the Eagles team. I don't think it's quite as bad as it used to be, or as good as it used to be, because I think when they had to buy seating licenses and all that, there were a lot of people who couldn't buy those tickets to buy the seat, But anyway, the passion here, I mean, it's what's embarrassed. Sometimes I'm embarrassed. I walk down the street in Philadelphia, and there's some lady with silver hair like mine walk up and say, "Coach, geez, oh boy, you were this and that. I love your team. That Wilbert Monk, that Bill Berge, that Ron Joe." It just fills me up. It really does.
Absolutely, Coach. I think you really put the stamp on the rivalry between the Eagles and the Cowboys, and still to this day, I think it was you that fueled that thing. So, Coach, thank you for all your time. I mean, I was so happy to see you get into the Hall of Fame, and Don Coryell's family I knew very well. I was happy that he eventually got in. I thought it was long overdue, you getting into the Hall of Fame for the turnarounds that you had. I talked to many people like Jared Bell. I'm like, okay, hey, look at where he was. The Eagles stunk. I mean, St. Louis stunk. I mean, these were all turnaround programs that coach walks in and turns around. So
very fortunate. And, I feel I'm very grateful for the contribution everybody made. I'm going to feel better when Tom Coughlin goes in. I'm going to feel better when Shanahan goes in. I'm going to feel better when Mike Holmgren goes in. Hey, how about Dan Reeves? God, how many wins do you need? 2 Super Bowls.
Plus, coach, the playing time that he had with Dallas. He's been in 9 Super Bowls.
Marty Schottenheimer. These guys.
206 wins, coach. Yeah. And you know what? I make a call. My cousin Dave Pizzulli played for him in Cleveland. And Dave goes, this guy's got 206 wins. He's 5th all time. And he's not anyone's considering because he's 5-14 in the postseason. I'm like, you ever see John Madden's record in the postseason? He's 9-8. Yeah. I mean, we're not talking about, we're talking about what a guy did with his career. I don't think he ever had a losing season in his 24 years coaching.
Yeah. Well, how about Chuck Knox? Took 3 different teams that all 3 of them were losing and took them to the playoffs. Okay. Yes, they'd never gotten a Super Bowl, but you got to be careful. We got to be careful using that as the only or the number one tool to evaluate whether a coach is a Hall of Fame coach.
So, Coach, you think the regular season matters more than the postseason?
Overall, I do. You got to, I know. I'll tell you this. I was at the Rams in 1972.
Is that George Allen?
No, it's Tommy Prothro.
Oh, Tommy Prothro, okay.
I think we won 7 games. Chuck Knock comes there the next year. He keeps me and Tom Catlin on the staff. And we won, at that time, we were only playing 14. I think we were 12-2. Okay. And we won 10 or 11 straight, And look, he did it in Baltimore when
Yeah.
And he goes to Seattle, Yeah. But because the playoff record with he and Marty is not great, anyway, I don't buy it. I'll tell you this. Shanahan, anyone coaching against Shanahan's team knows he's a Hall of Fame football coach. Anyone knows that Mike Holmgren, Hall of Fame. Yeah. They know they're Hall of Fame coaches. Mike Shanahan, unbelievable.
Coach, let me throw some modern day coaches at you. What do you think of Mike Tomlin?
I think he's a very, very fine football coach. I've never worked with him in that.
But Coach, he's not really a hands-on play calling guy. He's more of an administrative guy.
That doesn't matter. I mean, he's done a hell of a job. Nobody has ever gone to Pittsburgh and failed. I'll tell you, that's one advantage.
How about this, Coach? They've had 3 coaches since 1969. There's been more popes and presidents in the United States and more popes in Rome than in Pittsburgh. They've only had 3 coaches, Noel, Cowher, and Tomlin, since 1969. That's the last time they put a guy on the moon was when they put Coach Noel in there. I mean, I think it's the most consistent thing I've ever seen in my life in the NFL is that there's only been 3 coaches since 69.
Great organization, and Tomlin will be in the Hall of Fame. He will end up in the Hall of Fame. Deservingly, who's coaching like he has now? Nobody. No one's lasting as long as he is lasting.
What do you think of Sean McVay, Coach? Sean McVay reminds me kind of you.
He's going that direction. John McVay's going that. Kyle Shanahan, my God, they're going in that direction. Yeah.
Is Mike Shanahan a Hall of Fame coach?
Mike Shanahan? Oh, no question. Absolutely no question. He's won 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Okay. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He's a great football coach. And he was, he worked for Bill Walsh. So Bill was pretty good at, Mike Holmgren and those kind of guys. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Coach, it's been an honor. Thank you. I hope you can do it again. You're absolutely awesome.
You know where I am. I'll be on time next time. Take care.
It's all good. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. You got it. The legendary Dick Vermeil. Appreciate him doing that for me and spending so much time with me. Awesome. Hey, don't forget, March Madness, our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Time to sign up here with our loyal viewers and subscribers. Tell me that wasn't awesome talking to Coach. I think that's the first time we've had Coach Vermeil on the program. And by the way, okay, $10, they match it. $20, they match it. March Madness tournament, without a doubt, during this whole entire time. By the way, Thursday, it starts to tip off again. And for you to be able to be involved, the code word is, the promo code is WINS, W-I-N. That's W-I-N. Hit the like button. Don't forget, Mike Quick will also join us at 5:30 Eastern. We'll reset. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills, National Football Show. Really enjoyed talking with Coach Vermeil. Really, really awesome stuff there. Man, I can't wait to see Justin Herbert with a great coach and a great offensive coordinator in Jim Harbaugh. Oh, that's right, James. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, James. Sills, I never got those love nuts. I had to miss the show until the last at 5 of Coach Vermeil. Can't wait to catch up with the interview later. James, thank you so much. James is now talking about me throwing love nuts at him. Did you say lug nuts or love nuts? I'm not sure what you mean. Love nuts or lug nuts? Sills, Hurts in the RPO can run his wide receiver or tight end to open spaces. Defenders need to cheat to stop him from running. Hurts playing quarterback and not letting him run is like playing blackjack with no aces. Excellent. Excellent. Sue says love nuts. I don't know about love nuts. lug nuts. Yes. But lug, okay? Not of. Hey, Dan, what is Twizz's problem? Is he assuming that I know this guy? I have no idea. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't get into battle royales with people that listen to the show. You said it, Sills. Hey, Slacker, I don't know what love nuts are, dude. I'll have to ask my wife when she gets home. Oh, man. I'll have to ask her when she gets home what the love nuts are. Hey, I have no idea what you're talking about. Hey, by the way, don't forget Mike Quit will be with us at 5:30. I thought without a doubt Coach Vermeil was awesome. Yesterday, you accidentally said love nuts versus love notes. Oh, when I did say, okay. So I said love nuts instead of love notes. Okay, yeah. So, by the way, my aunt wants to be very clear here. I called the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles the number one coxman. The guy in the boat that goes like, row, row. It's officially, he's not a coxman. He's a coxswain. Okay? So I apologize. So I don't want the PR department calling my bosses up. He goes, Sileo's calling Jeffrey Lurie a coxman. So I will correct myself. Jeffrey Lurie is the number one NFL owner coxswain. Okay? Coxswain. Have to be somewhat correct here. I don't want to mischaracterize the guy, because when I looked up what coxman was, it wasn't a very friendly or a good description, and not the description I was looking for, because he is the guy in the boat that goes row, 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 and that's who the owner of the Eagles is. Okay, so it's coxswain. My aunt looked it up. And she called me immediately, too. She says, he's not a coxman. This is my, 100-year-old aunt that I love. You're not. She goes, listen, it's not coxman. You need to correct that. Thank you, Aunt Betty. Oh, man. But Lurie is the yachtsman. Oh, no, he's the yachtsman. Absolutely the yachtsman. And Sirianni's the gondolier. Sirianni's on a gondola. No. Sliger. Nick Sirianni is the donkey in the front of the rickshaw. He's a rickshaw puller. Oh, my God. Sirianni pulls a rickshaw. He pulls the rickshaw, and Howie's in the back of the rickshaw. Oh, my God. Oh. Come on, Sills. I'm going to die in here. The gondolier. All right. Hey, let me get refocused here. Holy cow. Good night. Nick Sirianni is the rickshaw puller, and you got the guy on a gondolier. Oh. Hey, I apologize. Watch this. I apologize. I apologize for being so obnoxious. I don't think I've ever apologized for being obnoxious. By the way, so you guys know, my aunt and my wife and my kid call me the most obnoxious person they know. And they love me more than anyone on the planet. So when you guys call me obnoxious, it doesn't really, it doesn't register all that much. You see, but even the people I work with, James kind of likes me, then he doesn't, then he loves me. Xander, same thing. Okay? Same thing. But that's okay. I like it that way. I like to make people feel uncomfortable. Okay? Sills looks like P. Diddy. Sills looks like P. Diddy pulled a Roman Polanski. Don't worry about it, homie. He's going to be with R. Kelly soon. Rapping to a barbershop quartet with Don't Drop the Soap. How you doing? And Eagles PR's Sills said that cock swing, not cock swinging in Gutsman. Glad I finally got on today. Love this show. Thank you so much, Hoss. Appreciate it. Oh, no. Hey, no, James, we had to get the absolute definition because, I called somebody in the organization a derogatory term. Oh, by the way, that story. Did you see that Saquon Barkley, Sauce Gardner got caught? You know how he got caught? Same way I got caught years ago in Miami. He said something that you thought was kind of funny. He said something about buying one of the Elon Musk. By the way, that truck looks awesome. And he was being interviewed by a Jewish guy, and he said something, and he was kind of goofing around with his friend. And it didn't land for half the room. They thought he was being anti-Semitic. He's since apologized. Hey, man, can't say those things today. You know why? Because people are going to call you whatever and label you that. And I'm glad he apologized. And I'm glad the interviewer said he didn't do anything wrong. Why are you taking it that way? Well, because people like to make things that aren't true up and make a narrative. See? Sauce Gardner. You really think Sauce Gardner is anti-Semitic? Or you think he was just trying to be somewhat funny with his friend who was Jewish? But you have people in today's society that will take a comment and they'll manufacture it into a narrative. And before you know it, it had really nothing to do with the context of the story. And it's so unfair. But who said that social media was fair? Social media is not fair. Okay? Liberals, conservatives. There's really nobody in the middle anymore. And it's how we're covering sports too. Okay? Pretty soon you're not going to be able to say anything about anybody. Hey, that pitcher is not good. Well, you're ripping him because he's black? No, because he just gave up 6 runs. Thank God sports doesn't have that as much yet. Sills, do you give out picks? How do you get an edge in handicap in football? Well, Lurie, it's a great question. I'm pretty good at it. I always look at the home team. You always look at the coaching. You always look at the quarterback. You look at injuries. You look at trends. And you always look at matchups. Like how our teams played the last 3 games. And you kind of look at that. Then you look at how teams have played in the AFC or NFC the last 3 weeks. Road trips. How many road trips do you put together back to back? Yeah, Barbara, I'm not the best gambler either, though. They tried to ruin comedy like that, and Dave Chappelle told the wokesters to take a hike, and it appears to be moving back in the right direction. Shane Gillis got canceled and got more popular. I love Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle is the best comedian since Richard Pryor. He's fabulous. Dave Chappelle is spectacular. I love Dave Chappelle. Man, hey, he don't care. I like Chris Rock too, though. Okay, I like those 2 guys. And not very many people like them because they'll say, I like people who will say, maybe that's part of my nature. I like people who will say anything. You see, media doesn't like people who will say anything. Like that NBC story with Rona McDaniel. It's not Rona McDaniel's the pawn in that. NBC doesn't want to have Trump people on. They'll have a few Republicans on, but they don't want anybody like that on. You know, they don't. And Fox doesn't really want to have anybody that's a Biden person on. So you're not getting fair and balanced coverage any longer. It's not an NBC thing. It's a media thing today. So which means this, you can't say what you really want on your mind any longer because somebody tells you because you side with this guy or that guy instead of having an opinion of yourself. Okay. And that's why in sports, at least, when you do this still, like, you know, you still have some people in here and go like this. Sills, you hate Jalen Hurts because he's black. No, I don't hate Jalen Hurts at all. I don't like the style of play of football of dual threat guys. I don't think Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl than what Josh Allen and Joe Burrow do. I think one of those two guys has a better chance of winning a Super Bowl than Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. Okay? It's just an opinion. That's not a fact. But I like those guys play and that talent skill set better. I think there's a better chance. Yeah, well, okay. Well, here's what LJ doesn't get. That guy plays with lesser talent, throws for more yards, and wins just as many games. He doesn't need a $13 million back and a $25 million receiver and another first-round wide receiver. He doesn't need a $15 million tight end and a $100 million O-line. He doesn't need that. Your guy does. People are so sensitive today. Joked with my TA, a female who knew I was kidding, when she walked into class late one day and I said, I don't know why she can't make class on time. I gave her the shower first. Now no one can joke anymore. Yeah, I mean, James. Yeah, thank you very much, James. Very kind. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. It's a little bit, hey, easy, Chris. Sills, people can absolutely say what they think, but you need to have the backbone to stand up for your statements. Most people want to be lied to rather than be told the truth. Absolutely, Bob. It's people would rather be lied to because it's easier. Okay? They would rather be. Hey, put James back up there again, will you please? Because people are giving me shit that I didn't give him his deal right. People are so sensitive today. Joked with my TA, a female who knew I was kidding, when we walked into class late one day, and I said, I don't know why she can't make class on time. I gave you the shower first. No one can joke anymore. Jeez. Okay, James, I probably owed you that. Hey, let me just say this. Big Sills is not going to be at any Philadelphia library doing readings. Okay? We're not going to be doing any Truman Capote books in cold blood. We're not going to be doing any readings. Oh, okay? Dude, I'm not debating this any longer about Allen. He's a better player. Just not. I'm not even commenting on any of your comments on it anymore. I'm not. He's not a better ball player. Sills got through school because he was an animal on the football field. Twiz, are you attacking my intelligence? I think that's a shot. Carson Wentz is, get this, Josh Allen is Carson Wentz. How come he's won as much as your boy? He's got the highest win percentage since he came into the league of any quarterback that hasn't been to a Super Bowl. Sills, when are you coming back to Hooters? KOP. We'll work on some stuff. Look at Xander put that up. See, Xander still does that because I hosed the Krauses on a plane ticket that they still have on their chalkboard. Hey, you told me you're coming here today, I think Xander was shocked when he picked me up. He's like, I can't believe you made it. Okay. Yeah. Hey, get this. The only thing you have, again, I'm not going there. Allen's superior to your boy. Superior of a player. Superior. He don't need $57 million. Hey, let's take a look at that. So they spend $20 million on Stephon Diggs and nobody else. Let's see what you guys spend on your guys. 25 receiver, 20 guard, 40 on the both tackles, 13 million. On your running back, there's 8. You guys spend $100 million on one, 2, 3, 4 players. How many Pro Bowlers you have in your huddle? Let's see. Wide receivers 1, left guards 1. We'll go by last year. Your center was 1. Your right tackle was 1. Your running back was 1. So you have 1, 2. Let's see. Oh, wait, here's your wide receiver too. 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 6 Pro Bowlers in your offense last year, and you couldn't do shit with it, and you spent $100 million on 4 guys. Hey, nice return on investment. And you got Dick for it. Nothing. Stills the offense be better this year compared to 22. We'll see. Now, if they're going to run Hurts the same way. Wait a minute, Denny. If they run Jalen like they did in 20. Hey, if they do Jalen like they did in 22. Yeah, they don't. No. I wrote down 10 teams. Let's do this. How many people believe, by the way, Mike Quick at 5:30 Eastern. How many people believe, too bad Josh Allen will never make it to the Super Bowl? Congratulations. Jalen Hurts made it to 1. So what? He and Brock Purdy and Colin Kaepernick and Brad Johnson, congratulations. Really great crew. Jeff Hostetler, great. Not better quarterbacks. Nobody would ever go like this. Brad Johnson is a better quarterback than Warren Moon. And Moon never made it to a Super Bowl. You heard Dick Vermeil say that that's overrated when it comes to coaches in the postseason. He thinks it's overrated. But that's all you guys have to hang your hat on Hurts. Well, that's all you have on him. Dude, Baker Mayfield had a better year. Okay, wait. That's a great one, Brian. So in the early part of his career, all the way up until 2004, who was a better quarterback, McNabb or Hurts? McNabb. McNabb was a better quarterback than Jalen. No? He got to the Super Bowl in 04, right? So 19, 20, 21 to 2. So in 6 years, Jalen's been in the league 4 years. So 6 years he got in. McNabb's a better quarterback. His first 4 years in the league, McNabb's a better quarterback. Vince Ferragamo got to a Super Bowl. Chris, 5 straight NFC title games. Yeah. McNabb was better. Seals, can you tell James A. it'll be okay? It'll be okay. God forbid. What I just agreed to. Yeah. So how many people believe that Andy Reid is going to make NFL history this year and have a three-peat? How many people believe that? Please no. Could happen. I always root for Big Red unless he plays us. No, it's hard. Odds are against it. Has a chance. I could see them picking a cornerback now that Schneid is gone. Yep, I do too. I hope it's I hope it's against us. Big Marshall, let's see your boy Josh Allen take his team to a Super Bowl. Then we shall talk. Until then, he's Dak Prescott and Kirk Cousins. Your boy's not better than Kirk Cousins as a passer in the NFL, Big Marshall. He'll never do the things that Kirk Cousins has done. You know, Kirk Cousins has 56 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, and I don't really think he's a spectacular player. But your guy has not touched anything he's ever done. And you're hanging on that Super Bowl. Like Vermeil said, that shit's overrated, dog. That's a team award, man. That's just not a quarterback award. Dude, Hurts' style of play last year, he'll never get back to that game. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance. Empty calories. So's your guy. If you're not winning the hey, so Kirk Cousins doesn't get to a Super Bowl, right? Your guy does and lost. So what? So what? Hey, no, Chris. Coach Vermeil said he thinks the postseason, when you're talking about accolades for coaches and players, is overrated. He said it just a couple minutes ago. Hey, what's your metric here? Winning games or putting up passing yards? Both. My answer depends if Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are still, because if so, yes. If not, I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theory. This is what you guys have on Allen. Allen hasn't been to the Super Bowl because he's in a harder conference with better quarterbacks. And he plays better competition. Okay? And because he turns the ball over. Yet, he's won just as much, if not more, than your guy. And won 4 straight division titles. So he wins and puts the numbers up. And puts his team around the rim every year. Your guy wasn't around the rim. He's been around the rim once of 3 years in his play. 1 year. Allen's around it all the time. Yeah, better comp, Chris. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Now you got C.J. Stroud in that conference. Yeah, you don't have – how about this? Purdy and Dak would be the 8th or 9th best quarterback in the NFC. And your guy Hurts would be 11th based off last year. Then tell me, Steve, how come he finished second in the MVP voting? Allen. He was either second or third. What about Jared Goff? You would take Jared Goff over Joe Burrow? Really? The NFC is dog shit. Hey, Washington hasn't replaced them. Kirk Cousins. Minnesota won't either. Chicago's never had a quarterback as good as Cousins in their ever history. The reason I ask you about the Chiefs Here are the 10 teams that I think will challenge the Kansas City Chiefs and try to stop them from winning a Super Bowl. Las Vegas. They believe. Hard to bet against Big Red, especially when his teams will run through a wall for him. There's respect and trust over in Kansas City. And Bob, remember something, according to Big Bill, they got the shittiest owner and the shittiest facilities, the shittiest parking spaces, the shittiest lockers, the shittiest training staff, the shittiest water fountains, the shittiest everything, and yet they win. They must really hate it in Kansas City. But hey, the Eagles have the best ham sandwiches. They have the best lounge chairs. They got the best water coolers. You know, they got the best locker rooms. They got the best massagists because, you know, the Yorksmen. You know, I mean, they got seriously, they got the best boats because of the Yorksmen. And they got an A+ owner. And Clark Hunt's an F-. Damn. Who would you rather play for? The F- Clark Hunt or the A+ Yorksman? You want to play for the Yorksman? Or do you want to play for the owner who's won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years? I'm going to play for that guy. The Yorksman. What a bizarre press conference that guy had yesterday. Jeffrey Lurie. Hey, here's another great quote from one of the great one of the great orders of all time. Your owner, the Yorksman. Jeffrey Lurie on Hassan Reddick's deal will work out best for all. It's going to work out what's best for all. Amen. It's like a prophecy. Jeffrey Lurie, how is the Hassan Reddick deal going to work? It'll work out what's best for all. Wow. Thought-provoking. Whew. Something to think about. That's really thought-provoking. It'll work out what's best for all. Oh, man. Wait a minute. I was going to do it at the top, but I got to do it. Here, I'll get to this one at the top. Forget it. I want to go to this one now because I'm on a roll. Jeffrey, Big Sills here, interviewing you. Hey, 11-17. Big Sills, Mr. Yorksman. I'm going to start calling him Jeffrey Onassis. You know? Big oil tycoon. He lived on a yacht, too. Aristotle Onassis. Lurie. Aristotle Onassis Lurie. The Yorksman. Okay. Why did the Yorksman, Mr. Yorksman, why did you keep Nick? Pluses, minuses. Many conversations. Thorough meetings. 3 hours of industrial meetings. And we came to the conclusion. All right. Was there, Mr. Yorksman, was there something in the meeting initially that swayed you to keep Pinocchio Sirianni? Yes, Daniel. Aristotle Onassis Lurie. Yes. He had a better meeting with me than Doug Peterson did. Again, thought-provoking. Telling. Bizarre. Mr. Yoltzman, is Nick's job in jeopardy? Look, we're all here with high expectations. And we expect greatness. Revealing. Mr. Yoltzman, what are you expecting this year from Jalen Hurts and Pinocchio Sirianni? I want these men to be themselves. I want these men, if this is who they are, this is what they are. Man, like Confucius and shit. This guy is like Wilder, man. He's some sort of poet. Honest to God, man. I want them to be who they are so they can do what they need. What worries me the most was Nick said he was the one who hired more. Oh my God, he's lying. If he has any role enough to hire if he has any role enough to hire, then I worry he'll be involved in play calling too. That's under 5.5 team. Dude, James, great takeaway. I didn't think of that. That the owner said that he wanted the hiring of Moore. Kellen Moore was not his hire. Kellen Moore was ownership. Even the damn Inquirer said that today. Even the Inquirer said that. He's a freaking... The only reason I'm not dropping F-bombs today is because my aunt asked me because it's Holy Week. Or I'd be dropping F-bombs. Okay? So you get a reprieve, Aunt Betty. I'm not dropping F-bombs today because it's Holy Week. Dude, tell the truth. Dude, seriously, you know what you're going to have to do? The next time Nick Sirianni does a press conference, will somebody strap a lie detector test to him? Because he would fail it. He would fail it every time he got in front of a mic. Sills, let's play a game. Who has a better chance? Shut up, making it to the championship game. Eagles in the Super Bowl. Kane's playing for a natty. Hey, Denny, I don't bar people, but you may be it. Yeah. You see, you're the only guy that knows what you're doing there, Denny. Hey, Denny, you're the only guy that knows how to push my button. Okay? So shut the hell up and stop doing that. I'm not answering that. Not answering that. Okay? Not answering that. Oh, man. Sills, is there a chance the Eagles draft a cornerback in round 1? I think it's edge, my friend. Kyle, I think it's edge or OT. Okay? I think it's edge or OT. One they need, the other one they're great at. Look at Denny taking victory laps. Holy cow. Like Rachel Maddow getting that chick fired. Congratulations to you, Denny. Kane's win it all. Or World War III. What comes for Hey, Chris, stop piling on. It's unbecoming now, okay? So I heard Al Golden's coming back, button pushed. Hey, Bob, do you want to know, man? I'll tell you flat out. I used to go on the air killing that guy. You know what I said? I used to call, dude, I'll show you what a jackass I was on the air. Am, still. Ask LJ. I'm on the air going like this. I was calling the Miami Hurricanes the Temple Hurricanes. And I didn't even know years later I'd be talking to you guys. I'd follow it up by going like this. The University of Miami, now officially dubbed the Temple Owls, winners of nothing. I'm on the air on the flagship station, and I am a Hurricane legend. And I'm talking shit like that. Oh, my God, it was ugly. It was so ugly. The market manager he's in your market now used to call me in his office. He goes, why are you antagonizing these people? I go, because that's my program, and I helped build it. All the shit you sell. See this? You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. You think you're selling it off of 5 and 6 teams? No. You're selling it off of what me and Jerome did. And Ray Lewis and them guys. Not these guys. You think Miami's brand is off these guys? I'm on the air going, the Temple Hurricanes. Someone will go, don't you like Temple? I didn't know Temple had a football team. I thought they were a basketball school with Coach Chaney. I didn't even know they played football at Temple. So this is one of the oldest programs. I don't give a shit about rolling your helmet up and putting it in your back pocket. I don't care about those days. Yeah, well, Temple was great when you rolled your helmet up and put it in your back pocket. Great. Great. Every time those guys would call my bosses, I'd go, yeah, well, you sell your merchandise because of me. You're welcome. Wide right, baby. Damn right. I let the yachtsman off the hook. I don't want to let the yachtsman off the hook. By the way, Mike Quick, 5:30 Eastern. The yachtsman. Remember when Florida State, and Miami dominated college football? Hey, Matt, whoever won the state championship would win the national title. There was a year we lost the state championship to Florida, and we won the national championship. You know what the Gators were doing? I don't think Howie was there yet. That's another reason I can't stand that guy. He's a Gator, man. They're all ass pipes. Gator guys are turds. Ugh. Just turds. Ugh. I don't mind their chicks, though. They usually don't have teeth, but they're great looking. So, it's all right. Al Golden, Coach Temple. He is from, he's a Gator, man. You know why Howie's so arrogant? Because he's a Gator. Now you know why he's a jerk. Erin Andrews couldn't even talk to Howie. She's a Gator, too. She's stupid as ever. Still, Chop Robinson is not projected to get picked till Detroit. I trade back. Yeah, Kyle. Yeah. I would too. Miami is garbage. Really? How's Miami garbage? When the Hall of Famers are going in every year that are Hurricanes. Every year. I don't see Bama guys going in. I don't see Georgia guys going in. I'm a Hurricane. Chop's a good-looking player, though. Oh, my God. Look at fitness. That's not that funny. I'm actually I'm actually in here. Look at this, Prince. Hey, Xander, look at this. Big Sills is the talkative stripper for JAKIB Sports. So you have to pay up. I'm actually liking that. Sills, do you like the Canes? Sills, I do like the Canes myself, just not currently. Ugh. Don't get me going, man. Here's Steve. Penn State won the national championship over you guys, supposedly the best team in college football history. I didn't see that, but that's just me. It's true. We were. Hey, Steve, have you ever heard of this? A team losing a national championship game, giving up 10 points and 7 first downs. And we only gave up 7 first downs, and we had 7 turnovers. We had as many turnovers in that game than we gave up in first downs. 7. And lost. We gave up 120 yards in total offense and had 550. I'll never get over that. Never. Never get over that. Never. Walk off the field, you're like this. I had 15 tackles in that game. 2 sacks. I crushed that team. Jerome killed that team. We had 25 tackles between us. Mike Missinelli, like I tell you guys, wrote a book about us. Walk off the field, we're like, good night, almighty, man. I've never seen anything like it. I wanted to beat Vinny up. I wanted to beat him up. Sills, do you think that Reggie Bush gets the Heisman back? I vote on the Heisman, and I think he should get his Heisman back. I think it's criminal that the National Communist Association of America, that's right, Steve, silver medalist. But you know what we did the next year, right? We won it. So you see, Steve, unlike you guys who couldn't do it, we did it. We went back and took it with a lesser team and our backups. How you doing? Boom. So we went back the next year and won it. How you doing? You guys lost to Penn. Yeah, so we went back next. So we went like this. We went 11-1 or 11-0 in the regular season, and then we went 12-0 the next year. How you doing? Yeah, we went back the next year and won it. You're welcome. Oh, man, I love the Yachtsman. Aristotle Lurie. Holy cow, guarantee you. Excuse me. Xander. I have a problem with Fat Sills. You know, remember Fat Lever? This is going to be like Fat Sills. Xander, he's now calling the owner Aristotle Lurie. Can you please make him stop? I'll do my best. And then Xander hangs up going, I'll do my best. Oh, man. Sills, I agree with you. I agree with most things you say about the Eagles. Devin White is going to be a liability. I don't understand this whole in the Dean thing, and we're not winning the Super Bowl this year. Steve, I just think the moves they've made on defense are mid-level. I don't believe that they're high-level moves. Now, look, the Barkley, here's the question mark on Barkley. Okay? Here's the question mark on Barkley for me. Okay, was it the Giants or him? You know, there's actually some people that believe that Saquon is Christian McCaffrey. He's not. If anything, he's a cheap man's version of him. The Yachtsman. Most bizarre things I've ever heard. That press conference was something out of like Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, hey, okay. It was like something out of Napoleon Dynamite. It was just wacky. I mean, like some of the people, even in your own market and the media, went bizarre. Okay? Bizarre. Yeah. Hassan Reddick. Workout best for all. Hey, Niners. Niners. Don't do that. But Barkley won't be on the active roster by the end of the year. Him and Jacoby will be sitting in that A+ trainer's room with the A+ massage therapist and the A+ tanks with the A+, doctors and such. That's where he'll be. They'll be eating the Chip Kelly Slurpee. It is bad luck to say that because, dude, you know what? Hey, Niner all day. You could have just put the reverse juju on McCaffrey now. Okay? KP goes, who wishes an injury? That's what he heard. That's because you're stupid. No one wished it. I'm going by the player's history. Wished it? I'm saying, like I told you last year, Kobe Dean won't make it. He's not big enough. And that guy's always hurt. He'll be on IR too. You're trying to will something that a player isn't, which is good luck with health. You're wishing something that's not true. I don't mind Barkley, but did Jalen need that much? I don't mind Barkley, but did Jalen need that much? That kid needs to be surrounded by A+ players to win. He totally does. Okay? Nice to call people stupid. Shut up, snowflake. Last hour of the program. Mike Quick will join us. We will talk to the legendary Eagle. We'll get his thoughts on what was the nuclear meltdown known as the 1-8 slide. Hit the like button. Don't forget, our good friends at the NCAA are kicking that bad tournament off tomorrow, and we are in line with our friends at Underdog Fantasy. JAKIB Sports is looking for around 500 folks to subscribe and join. They'll match you all the way up to $100. You put $10 in. Minimum is 10, by the way. They'll put 10 in. You put 20 in, they'll put 20. All the way up to Osino, like I said. Again, just sign up. It's very simple. The promo code is WIN. That's WIN. Power Hour coming up. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Hey, KP, you know what? I'm sick of you phony-ass Philly people. You know what Angelo said something about? When he said something to me the other day, he called me last night. You know what he said? You know why people like you in that area of the country? I was like, he goes, you may not be from there. You sound like you're from there. I was like, oh, okay. I never thought of that. KP, you could tell me to shut the hell up too. Don't be such a wimp. Man, I got people in here that get after my ass like Prince and Chris and LJ and even Barb. Okay? I mean, all of you guys. So shut up. We're going to get your Philly card taken away. All you guys, man. Hey, Prince could give me shit for 4 hours. I'll see you tomorrow, Sales. Yeah, Prince, I'll see you too. See you tomorrow, man. Yeah. Right? Bully? Dude, I hate bullies. Look at Sue. Hey, you know who my favorite, you know who one of my favorite scenes was last year? Was that chick that was in the stands at the link. Run the flipping ball. There you go, Jeff. Thank you. Run the flipping ball. And the cameras were on her, and I'm like, I want to marry that girl right there, man. Holy cow, I love that chick. So she was just in the stands screaming, angry as all hell. Run the ball! What's wrong with you? And then the guy in the stands who's down in Tampa, hey, Nick, you're done. Here's some popcorn on the way out. I think that was a T.O. reference. Now that I think about it, don't you think that was a T.O. reference with the popcorn being thrown at Nick? Better get your popcorn. Right? Hey, Nick, you're done. Oh, man. I thought that was just hey, you have the best fans. You know what, man? There's so many good fans. You know what, too? They don't have nuclear meltdowns. It's not a nuclear meltdown. It's an attitude. Get your popcorn ready. I'm bullying your Eagle team? Somebody need to bully them. They look like worms at the end of the year. Man up, guy. Come on, Steve. The Eagles didn't play very tough at the end of the year. Oof. I wonder why. I don't even know why I'm doing that. Hey, I have no idea why. This is how I felt. Here's my feelings on how the Eagles played at the end of the year. I don't know why they played like that at the end of the year. It was so unbecoming. KP, you're right. Just be quiet, Dan. I don't know. I don't know why I'm acting like. I have no idea why I'm acting like that. Why? Oh my God, am I gonna get in trouble? Oh, look at James. I almost smashed my TV last half of the season. Hey, you know what? You know what some of my friends say in Philly? You could walk down any cul-de-sac or any area in South Philly, and when the game's on, you don't miss any moment of the game because you can hear the games blaring through everyone's front door, and you never miss a play if you walk your dog. That's when you know you're in the right place. Okay? That's when you know you're in the right city. You can probably do that shit in Buffalo too. Okay? You couldn't do that in LA. You kidding me? They got a ski slope they got to hit. Or they've got to go to a beach outing, you know what I'm saying? They got to go to a volleyball tournament or something. They got to play with a shuttlecock, badminton and such. I don't know. That I did look up, shuttlecock. Anyway, let's reset here. So Mike Quick will join us at the bottom of the hour. Okay? Hey, dude. No. MG. My kid's Angelinian. No. MG. The only problem with Los Angeles is you can't go anywhere and enjoy it. Well, hell, maybe now. Oh, my God. Hey, what is that, $6.95? How's that $6.95 bridge affect Philly? How's that thing affect you guys? Because that $6.95 bridge going over Baltimore to go up towards my folks and up towards the East Coast, does that thing affect Philly a lot? That was a terrible thing, man. Because that thing that $6.95 bridge, right? What is it? The Francis Scott Key Bridge? I've been over that thing a billion times. Doesn't that thing go over the Inner Harbor? And it connects like to the Inner Harbor, right? And it comes. I wonder what that does to because 95's got to be a train wreck now. Got to be a complete train wreck. Can't go anywhere in LA without. Hey, Chris, it's terrible, right? I'm awake, or you says it affects the entire East Coast, I believe. That's wild. Someone fell asleep at the wheel. No, man, get this, Prince. Supposedly the guy did a mayday, and it just something in the engine broke, and hey, that thing went down like you had a train set. You know those bridges that fall down in your train set? That thing went fast, man. Fly, they're picking up Baltimore. It's getting better down there. That Inner Harbor, they did a nice job down there near the stadium. I've been down there a boatload of times because Army Navy. It's getting better, man. I don't mind Baltimore. Rocksteady goes, I'm in Baltimore right now. Just went across the bridge the day before. Dude, man. Now you got to circle around, go out on the perimeter now. That's got to be a nightmare because that's $6.95, man. It connects everybody up there. I mean, going back and forth between Philadelphia and New York and down to the southern part. Wow, man. Hey, Big Sills, I can't watch you live. I work at that time, but you are great. I don't know who to listen to when Angelo got out of the business. I see your show one day, and I was like, oh, my God, it's Angelo. It's a compliment. It's a compliment. Got family in Baltimore. I got family in Baltimore too. He lives in Miami. He lives in South Florida too, but I got family that lives up there in Baltimore too. And when I went to Maryland, my freshman year, I used to go across that bridge to go home up to Connecticut. I used to go across the 690. My aunt comes down that bridge when she goes to Philly when I go to the Army Navy game. Yeah, man, that was terrible, man. 6 people passed away. God rest their souls during Holy Week. So been on that bridge multiple times. James, I've been on that bridge a ton too, man. Hey, I was, guys, you guys know I was raised. I used to go down. You know how crazy my life is being around you guys where you're from. I told you guys this years ago. I used to go down to Wildwood all the time for nickel beer night. And I would hear, like, when they first who was that guy that owned WIP that was it Tom Brookshire that owned WIP before CBS bought it? Am I right when I say that Tom Brookshire used to be on the air in Philly? Now, some of you guys are too young. Like Xander, he's too young for this. But when IP first went on the air, I could have sworn that Tom Brookshire was on the air, and I would go down to Wildwood for nickel beer night, and I would listen to WIP because I don't think WFAN was around yet, because that was WNBC. That's when Stern was still on that. That is the southern part of 695, like the guys said above. Most of the traffic is 95. That's terrible then, because, hey, my house where I live in Stanford, 95 is like, because I live in the Cove in Stanford, and 95 is right off the exit where we live. I live right off 95. That's terrible, man. That thing's going to be a parking lot for the next year. That whole, yeah, Chris, that whole tri-state area is going to be affected by that thing. Wow, with 30 minutes walk on the sand to get to the ocean. Hey, Chris, it's like Cape Cod. That's what I tell folks, like on the West Coast out here. Like MG, when you don't have very much beach in California. You don't have a lot of beach. But when you go to like Mystic Seaport, or you go to Wildwood, or you go to Atlantic City, or you go to Cape Cod, or you go to Montauk, and you go to places like that, dude, it's like 2 miles to get to the ocean. All sand. And shit, you can see horses on it. My wife is actually from Maryland. And my aunt took me to Ocean City my very first time. And then I used to go to Ocean City when I played at Maryland. I'd go to Ocean City, Maryland all the time. Seals, you're loving the California life. Nah, I don't think so. I'm looking to get the hell out of here. Hey, Denny, when a strawberry cost $18, I don't think so. Yeah, North Carolina too, man. North Carolina's got some great beaches. South Carolina too. Yep. My cousin lives in South Carolina. Yeah. Affects a ton of communities, man. And yeah, oh my God. Absolutely. Huge beaches. Taxes are insane. That would be an understatement. Let's just say this. If you make $1 bill, you take 25 cents home. It's a true story. If you make $1 million in California, okay, you take home $260,000 of it. That's all you need to know. And, of course, the Newsom internet. Thank you. Yeah. Right. Mike Quick's going to join us in a couple minutes. I wrote down these teams. And look, you know what I think. I don't think you guys are going to have a lot of wins this year because of your defense. But I wrote these 10 teams down. Because now listen. If you had to make a bet, would you take Kansas City or the field to win the Super Bowl this year? Would you take KC or the field if you're making a bet? Chris says field. MG2 says field. Probably the field. So you're going to bet against Mahomes, not KC. saying Bulls or Lakers. The field. So most of you would take the field. Okay. I wrote these 10 teams down that I think can challenge the Kansas City Chiefs and stop their three-peat. Number 10, the greatness of Kurt, I'm better than Jalen Hurts, Cousins. The Atlanta Falcons, who Vegas also has as a 10.5 win football team in 2024. And they play in a lesser division than the Philadelphia Eagles. Kurt, I'm better than Jalen Hurts, Cousins. Number 10. Number 9. Team that could stop Kansas City from a three-peat. Hey, by the way, you know who has a trademark? Does anyone know who has a trademark on three-peat? Anybody? Oh, sorry, KP. Yeah. Sorry, KP. I didn't mean to do that. Pat Riley. There you go, MG2. Got to be an LA Laker fan. Number 9. Houston Texans with the greatness of a man you would start your team over Hurts, CJ Stroud. Number 8, the man, the myth, the legend, led by the greatest single talent I've seen since Patrick Mahomes. Bills Mafia. Number 8, the Buffalo Bills. Number 7, tell me who I am. There you go, Sue. There you go, Chris. Aaron Mushroom Rodgers and the New York Jets at number 7. Josh Gordon, funny. A damn shame about that guy. He was so good. Buffalo's done. The Bills. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Okay, number 6 in a team that could potentially stop the Chiefs from a three-peat. What quarterback am I? This is going to be horrible. Wait a minute. The Bills lost their defense, though. Yeah, but they got Allen. Who is this quarterback? It's like charades. Big Chris gets it. The Dallas Cowboys and the greatness of Dak Prescott. You guys got McNabb. Wow, that's funny. Dak Prescott. It should be Donovan Prescott. Number 5. The Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love. Indeed. I got the Ravens 4, Lions 3, Bengals 2, Niners. Andy Reid going for a three-peat. That's going to be crazy, man. I'll tell you what, it was really fun talking to Coach Vermeil earlier and talking about him being a better coach. And he thought he wasn't a better coach. He just became a better administrator in St. Louis than he was in Philadelphia. He goes, I'll tell you what, though, when he was in Kansas City, he did this. Before I get Mike Quick on, this is what he said. So I got to give it to Mike Quick for playing in front of the Eagle fans. And he said this, hey, when I lost the game in Kansas City, everyone went, don't worry, coach. You get them next week. In Philadelphia, he went like this. It's not quite what they said. Let's bring in our friend Mike Quick. He joins us now here, and he does a great job. And I love listening to him and Merrill Reese when they do the broadcast for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll tell you one thing. I get Merrill on here. He don't say anything. But when I listen to him in the broadcast, you two guys, I'll tell you what, Mike, the one thing that you've done with Merrill, you guys talk what you see. You know, some guys have narratives and opinions on how they cover a game.
Yeah.
You see something, and you totally come from a player's perspective. That's got to be one of the truly great relationships that you have had, and it's a great team you guys have there calling Eagle games.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. You know, I've been very fortunate. 26 years now, I've been in the booth with Merrill, and I just when I got out of the game, I could not foresee that happening. I didn't, quite honestly, I didn't even see me doing media and all of that kind of stuff. But I still remember the day that I got the call from him asking if I would be interested in doing that. And it's really been great. It's been a wonderful relationship, and with the radio station. So I've been very fortunate to do this.
You know, Mike, I had a conversation with Troy Aikman because, now correct me if I'm wrong on your personality. I know a lot of people that played with you, and they said you're kind of a reserved dude. You know,
Yeah.
You're not really, you know, a guy that's out there like that. You're kind of really private in
Yeah.
who you are. And Troy was too. And I said, in his first year, he said, you know, I struggled because I had to be critical of people I played with and people I know. I also had to be a little more boisterous when something that's not my nature. Was that a transition for you to go through too, Mike?
Yeah, Dan, I think that was probably the hardest thing. The fact that I played the game, I know the struggle, the commitment, the everything that goes into just being there every day, being a professional athlete, professional football player. So that part was hard, just getting used to and doing it the right way. When I got to criticize the way someone plays, I'm not a guy who wants to trash anybody. It's just not my nature. But if I see something that's not done properly, then I have to say it. We have such smart fans in this area that I just couldn't get away with trying to blow smoke up them. And then I would rather just talk about exactly what I see, and, you know, not to do it in a mean way, but I have to point out, you know, the obvious basically. And that's what we do.
You know, Mike, it has to be hard for you to watch today's NFL and know that you were mugged at the line of scrimmage and you were mugged for 15 yards down the field. Even in my day, you're mugged down the field. And now you see all the rule changes. And I'm like, you know, Jerry Rice and guys like you and Art Monk and those guys. I mean, my God. Andre Rison. All
Dan,
that dudes, man. I mean,
dude.
you guys would be 1,800-yard receiving guys in today's game. Is it hard to evaluate what a good receiver is today when you know that the advantage is on the receiver side to get those yards?
Yeah, but you still have to be able to get, as everyone talks about, separation. You got to be able to catch the ball. You got to be able to read defenses. There's still so much to do. Now, you can't get banged around the way guys got banged around back when we played the game, but I still love it. I still love everything about it. I love to watch these guys maneuver, these guys who are uber talented guys that play the position. It's fun for me to watch each and every one of them. Yeah, the style of game has changed a bit, but it's still football. And when I see a guy who's the artist that some of these guys are, like Devontae Smith, I mean, just to see, I just think watching him is like poetry in motion. I love the position, and these guys who are really, really good at it, are really skillful at doing what they do. It's fun to watch. Yeah. And yeah, I've been around the game a long, long time, but I have no problem with adjusting to what is now and not being stuck in like what it used to be. And this is the way the game should be played, blah, blah. I'm not that.
I sound like, oh man, get off my lawn, guy. Okay, hey,
My lawn.
I get it here. All right, Mike, we had Keith Byers on last week, and he said something pretty interesting about the Eagles. He thought that the Eagles weren't playing championship football from Thanksgiving on because they weren't spreading the ball around. They weren't sacrificing for one another, especially in the passing game. And he noted this, and I put out the stats to him. I go, they threw to the numbers. Jalen had 8 quarterback rating across the middle of the field. That probably had a lot to do with Goddard being injured. But they became so predictable that they really weren't really a good offense, yet people were putting numbers up, but they weren't getting the most important thing, Mike, wins. What, in your opinion, happened from Thanksgiving on last year?
So I think, Dan, if you go back even to before Thanksgiving, when there were multiple games that could easily have gone the other way, and this team somehow squeaked them out and were able to get wins in games where maybe the Kansas City game wasn't one that they should have won. Maybe the Dallas game in Philadelphia, when they run the quarterback out of bounds, BG runs the quarterback out of bounds on the right sideline. There were games along the way that, if you go back and examine them, maybe they shouldn't have won some of those games. But I think teams did catch up to them late in the season and start to understand where they were predictable and able to attack them. And it just looked bad down the stretch. There's no other way to put it. They looked bad down the stretch. They just didn't. I don't think fundamentally they stuck to the things that they should have stuck to and just didn't play good, sound, fundamental ball. I think it begins there. It's so hard because there's so many things that contribute to the way they play down the stretch. But, your quarterback didn't play well. It wasn't the best of a coaching situation on either side of the ball. There's so many elements that go into when you drop that hard. There's so many elements that go into that.
Mike, the loss of Jason Kelce, I could make the argument that the left tackle position is vital in the protecting of the blind side of the quarterback. But when you have a guy like that gets on to third level, he sets the blocking protection for your quarterback. You've got a new OC coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, his loss will affect Jalen Hurts in a high volume way. Is that a real concern going into this offseason here? And I'm not saying Camp can't play, but that's a Hall of Fame player. And, you're going to a really good player, but that's a Hall of Fame player, Mike. I mean, how much of a issue do you think that plays into their mind?
So I understand what they've lost in Jason because he, like you said, he's Hall of Fame type player. He's an unbelievable leader, very smart, able to see things happen before they happen. He has that what they talked about Gretzky so much, that he could get out ahead of the play because he could see it happen before it happens. Jason was that kind of guy, and certainly a brilliant guy at the line of scrimmage. But the constant for the Eagles is that Jeff Stoutland is still there as the offensive line coach. And, that guy, I think he's special in this industry. I think he's a guy that knows talent. He knows how to pick guys that a lot of people will overlook, and he knows how to get the best out of those guys. So that's where I lean. When you get to this situation where you're going to lose, and Kelce, he's doing the best thing for himself, and to have had the career that he's had and now be able to walk away and kind of get into the media and still make the same type of money, it's a smart thing to do for him. I believe because I've seen it happen over and over. When you've got a guy like a Jeff Stoutland, you've got the talent that they have on the offensive line. I think they will find a way to make this thing work and secure Jalen behind center.
You really think he's retired? Yeah. Come on. Hey, Mike, you don't think that if they're in a playoff run, somebody gets nicked up a little bit, and all of a sudden you got Stoutland going, hey, we're 8-2, I don't know. What do you think here? I mean, right?
Yeah. So as soon as it happened, I thought about that. I'm thinking, I know he can play still. He still has the ability to play. But at this stage in his life, I don't see that happening, him coming back. So I don't know if you saw the documentary that he did the year before, but I thought it was brilliantly done. I thought his wife was outstanding in it. But I think it pulls back the curtains on a lot of the things that we deal with, and especially a guy at the tail end of his career, having to take do all the acupuncture treatments, to take the shots, and to do all of these things that you have to do to just practice, to get ready for games. At some point, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on your family. So I'm glad that he's in the position that he's in, that now he's got media outlets clamoring for his services to be a part of what they do. So I think it's a win for Kelsey. And I think he's going to still be around. So we're still going to see him. But at some point, you have to turn that page and go to the next chapter.
How hard was it for you to turn that page? Did you think about coming back at all anytime? I'm sure you got calls at the end of it. I mean, was it hard for you?
It wasn't as hard for me because I was busted up. Jason's not as busted up as I was. When it was time for me to go, I was busted up and I knew it was time to go. You're done.
So you went like this. You took a bow out. You didn't. I got it. Yeah. You took a knee basically.
Yeah. My body was shot, and it's time to go to the house. I'm done. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let me ask you this about Barkley. Now, Mike, there's so many mouths to feed in this offense now.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got AJ here, Devontae, Goddard. Now you've got, and for the first time, really, maybe since Shady, you got a top flight back there, where now all of a sudden you've got to figure out how you're going to feed everyone, because you've got a lot of guys out there, especially AJ Brown, a lot of egos, a lot of targets. 36% of the targets were to AJ. I mean, how important is this offseason, in your opinion, when it comes to something that they really don't take a priority in, when these OTAs or the mini camps or even the exhibition games, to really get everybody on page, Mike? I mean, when me and you played, we played 6 exhibition games.
Yeah.
There were 3 of days. You kind of worked on everything, including your weight, what have you. These guys they're not out there long enough like that. How much of a priority do you think this offseason is for that?
But Dan, they're getting mental reps.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
So I think it's big because, Kellen Moore is going to bring in a new offense, a whole complete new system. And for that reason, it's really important, the offseason, the OTAs, and guys are going to have to spend a lot of time just making sure that they get the details, the nuances of what they want to do. You know how in the first part of the season in training camp, they throw everything in a book. You end up going over the installs every day. It's different. It's loading up the entire book. But once you get into football, when you're game planning for teams, then it's just specific to that team. So with that in mind, I think there's going to be enough time when you go through the OTAs and the preseason that you'll get it down. And the good thing about these guys, this staff, and what I've noticed is you've got a lot of really good teachers. And that's really what football is. It's teaching. You got to teach guys. You've got these world-class athletes, but now you have to sit them down and teach them what you need to get out of them for your purposes.
Couple last questions for you, Mike. Are there too many, again, not to go into the weeds here with all the people that they've signed, but because they've signed a ton of guys.
Yeah.
Do you worry about too many new people that come onto a roster. I've always said this, Mike, the teams that don't make a lot of moves are the teams that are traditionally the good ones, and those are the ones that are going to be the most consistent ones. And you top that off with 2 new coordinators, albeit Fangio was a consultant a year ago, so that kind of is maybe going to be a better transition for him. But does that concern you at all that there's a lot of new faces coming onto the roster?
Yeah, I think, but every year there's turnover like this. And we've seen it in Philadelphia. And quite honestly, I think Howie's been pretty good at it for the most part. When you look at the success, and, we're spoiled with success in Philadelphia because we've had a lot of really good years. Now, we can go back and pick out areas and years that they didn't get to the playoffs or didn't go deep into the playoffs, and that's always the case. But in general, we've had a lot of really good success around here. And I think when, let's say we go back to the year that they won the Super Bowl, when Howie went into free agency and he was able to get the guys that made such an impact in that. Yeah. So that, I just think that when you see that there are weak areas, and that's kind of what he was able to address this offseason. Your third wide receiver needed to be addressed. The safety spot needed to be addressed. Linebackers needed to be addressed. And especially when you know that the draft is a crapshoot. The draft, it's a chance, it's an educated, it's a calculated chance and risk, but you know that you're risking. At least when you go into free agency, you've seen what guys can produce at this level. So that's why I don't have a real issue with going out and trying to match up players to what you do based on what you've seen them do already, their history in the league already. So I know that you want to build through the draft, but filling those holes in those areas, sometimes the best way to do it is through free agency. I thought about Patrick Robinson, in that Super Bowl game, the play that he made that made such a huge difference. And I think about, guys like Malcolm Jenkins, who they got in free agency, guys who are really difference makers in the success of this franchise.
Mike, Devontae Smith, I had questions about his size when he came out of Alabama, but then when you watch him run routes,
you and me too,
he looks like a Marvin Harrison or like a Hines Ward kind of guy, and he's so polished, Mike. I mean, when they scrimmaged, I think it was 2 years ago, they scrimmaged the Browns, and the Browns coaching staff, and Alonzo Highsmith told me, he goes, man, they watched him run 15 yards, and he's 15 yards. He's not rounding anything off. He's not 11. He's so polished. Have you been surprised that with his durability, that with his size and how he's built, that he's been able to withstand, especially in the NFC East, the punishment that he's taken since he came here from Bama?
So like you, when he came into the league, I worried about that. Like, can this guy hold up in the National Football League? Is he going to be tough enough? And every day that I see him, I'm just amazed. He's way tougher than I thought he was. His ability to go into the weeds and make catches, go up, elevate, and make catches, those things. But then to watch him, the artist that he is as a route runner, it's just, for me, it's fun. I love to watch this kid. Like when you just look at skill set and ability to play the position, I don't know if you can find a better guy in the skills category than that guy. I think he's just so much fun to watch. He is.
The other guy, last question, Mike, the other guy on the other side, it's such a balance. You have one guy who is a finesse player, but yet so skilled. And on the other side, Michael Irvin, who is a teammate of mine, told me that he goes, Sills, when you watch this guy, watch him after the catch, watch him blocking in the run game, watch him with the guys on him when he gets release. He's so physical for a player, and it's such a great dynamic. I mean, do you see that, Mike? I mean, do you see a little bit of yourself too and how he plays and how Mike played, that the physicality that you had on getting off the line of scrimmage and not being spotted on the line in the way that they both play?
Absolutely. He's so strong. You know, AJ to me. So, quite honestly, I didn't know he was this good,
I didn't either.
but he is. He really is. And the more I watch him, the more I'm like, this guy is the real deal. His hands are so good. He has this ability to throw late hands and catch the ball so well. It doesn't give a defensive back time to react to his hands and knock the ball away because he's so subtle and so quick with it. Both these guys have little detail to their work that I think is second to none. And the toughness of AJ, the strength, you know, he's 220 pounds and guys just bounce off of him. He's got these little subtle moves at the top of the route where he can lean on a guy or use his arm or use all of that big body of his to hold that guy down while he, by the way, let me just catch this ball, little guy, and get out of my way. Yeah, they're fun to watch. But, you know, for me, there are guys all over the league that play that position because I love to see the position and see it done the right way that I enjoy watching. I'm going to tell you, because in a lot of people, it doesn't matter to me. CD Lamb, to me, is just fun to watch.
Yep.
The way he plays the position, to me, he's just fun to watch. The what's the kid?
Jefferson.
There's so many that, you know, when you put on the tape and you start to watch these guys, I can just sit there and watch them for a long time.
Mike, you know what it seems like to me? Like from your time and our time, the position of running back was such a focal point.
Yeah.
That now today, the kids in high school see that the money is at the wide. I mean, this guy, Hunter Renfrow, was the third wideout with the Raiders, and he made $14 million. He makes more than Saquon, or he made more than Saquon Barkley. And these wide receivers, I just think there's a shift now. That's why you don't see any running backs coming out of college any longer. These guys are all wideouts. There's like 7 wideouts that could go in the top 50 and the top 37 picks in this April draft. I mean,
yeah,
it's pretty remarkable the depth at wideout that you're seeing coming out of the college ranks.
Yeah, they're switching now. A lot of these guys in junior high school, they're switching, not wanting to play running back, but play wide receiver. And, you know, for good reason. The running back position doesn't hold the same value that it did back when I played. When I came into the league, it was Wilbert Montgomery left, Wilbert Montgomery right. And then it was, okay, let's throw to Carmichael. Okay, let's throw to Quick. But it was always handing the offense started with Wilbert left, Wilbert right. But we're in a new era now of football, and it's fast break football. It's 3 wide receivers on the field most times for most teams because that's the way the game is played now. It's fast break, and it's fun.
I want to sneak one last win on you.
You said that 3 questions ago, but go ahead.
I know, man. I got to get you. I'm sorry. I've got to get one more on
Listen,
you.
Dan, you better get me while you can get me.
You bet. That's right, because you'll be on vacation for another. That's what Merrill said. That's out of Merrill here.
Yeah.
But by the way, Dallas Goedert, are you concerned that he doesn't give you a full season, that you can't really build a game plan or him into the game plan, that he's not there the last couple of years and really pretty much his career? He's missed 25% of his career, Mike. I mean, is that concerning to you?
Well, you have to build him into the game plan because he's that dynamic of a player. He makes the offense that much more difficult to defend. But yes, you do. But it's football. You have to have a contingency plan for everybody that's on the field. You know, yeah, Dallas, you don't want to see him go down nearly as much as he has because he's so talented. But you just have to have a plan for that. And that's normal. It's football.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so much, dude. It's so great to catch up with you, man. I want to thank you again for finding time and carving some time out for us. Thank you, my friend.
You got it. Take care, Dan.
You got it. That is the great Mike Quick. We so appreciate him coming aboard with us. Great stuff. And I love listening to him and Merrill call the games on WIP. Such a great thing. All right. Hit the like button. Don't forget, March Madness tips off tomorrow. Our good friends at Underdog Fantasy, along here with our friends at JAKIB Sports here, our viewers and our subscribers, please sign up. This is a beautiful thing. $10 is the minimum. They'll match everything up to $100. Very simple. $10, you get 10. 20, you get 20. You get it, right? Underdog Fantasy, again, you need the promo code WIN. W-I-N. That's W-I-N. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Quick! Right? Who played on the other side of Reggie White? On Gang Green. Quickly. Who played on the other side? Yale. Matt. Greg. He's on tomorrow, Clyde Simmons. When's the last time anybody in Philly's heard Clyde Simmons talk? He's a coach in college now. He's a defensive line coach. He'll be on tomorrow. Clyde Simmons. Playing on that great defense with Reggie White. Andy Harmon. Okay. Andy Harmon. Mike Pitts, God rest his soul, man, was a defensive tackle. Yeah, man. Mike does a great job. Him and Merrill do a great job. The Yachtsman. Hey, has the Yachtsman got on his yacht back and sailed back to Philly? Where does he park that thing? He don't park that in Philly, does he? No way. You kidding me? He ain't parking the yacht in Philly. He's got to park that thing in South Florida, right? William Fuller was a great player. I know William very well. That's right, Kyle. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's right, man. The Yorks. You don't think the Yorksman has the yacht parked there in Philly? Jersey Shore? No way. Why would you put your boat in Jersey? Who puts anything in Jersey? What are you, crazy? I wouldn't even date a chick from Jersey. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Jersey's all right. Jersey's fine, I guess. South Jersey, yeah, okay. Well, hey, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. My girl, Jersey girl. Sandra's got a girlfriend. Oh, it's probably been like 2 months. Okay, yeah, that's good. It doesn't. No, he doesn't. He's got a friend. Prom queen. Oh, good. Yeah, remember something though. The prom queens, they just make sure she's not a headache. That's all I say. I married a prom queen too. Holy hell, for 30 years, 5 years. She's not here. That's why I can talk like that. Thank you, Aunt Betty. Should have married a fat chick. All hot girls are headaches. I don't know why that is. Wish my grandmother told me that. She didn't. The one thing my grandma didn't tell me, if you're going to marry a really good-looking woman, remember, you're going to starve to death. Not that I'm starving. I make my own food, though, now. I ain't always ask, what are you going to have? Peanut butter and jelly tonight? Oh, good night, almighty. What do I say? I don't know. No. It's all good. Please don't get me in any more trouble, because knowing my kid will send a clip to my wife and go, look what Dad said. And my daughter's coming home for Easter, so I want to make it somewhat pleasant. I don't know. We're probably going to do some nookies and a ham. Hey, please, no political statements with the nookies and ham. I don't want to hear it. We'll get more. James goes, Brazilian women are very beautiful. Absolutely. Stunning, actually. Dating advice from Sills. What? I walk in. No, always remember, Twiz. Told you this before. You want to be fed? You marry a fat chick and happy. If you want to be miserable and starve, you marry a hot chick. Lessons from Big Sills. All right. Clyde Simmons tomorrow. You know what's funny about getting these guys on? Like this morning, I woke up, I had nobody. So I said, let me call Mike quick. Sure, Sills. After a little bit of, having to tell a certain company in Philadelphia to go pound sand, everything was good. And then, of course, getting Coach. My wife goes, why don't you call Coach Vermeil? Yeah, why don't I? You know him very well. Yeah, I haven't had him on yet. Put him on. All good. Guys, thank you so much. Big Joe, Xander, absolutely awesome stuff. Guys, we really appreciate you guys so much. Coming here each and every single day. We appreciate it. 2 to 6, and we shall see you on the flip.